by 10 seconds. Stand by to initiate release sequencer. On my mark. 5.
We're on express elevator to hell. Going down.
2, 1. Mark.
Well, we know Elon didn't pull out. That's not his name. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Woo, I'm really hot in here. Good. Oh, it's just relax. Yeah. Oh boy, we're gonna have a good one today. Don't you like my thumbnail? How awesome is that? Look at all my Funko Pop. I should have brought my Funko Pop out here.
I'll bring it out.
I'll bring it out, yeah. Welcome to Red One Studios, live from Las Vegas, Nevada. This is the Irrational Male. You already knew that, though. Thank you for joining me once. A nice, gloomy Sunday. But before we get into anything else, there we go. Let's talk to Jack.
You're very beautiful. You think men are only interested in you because you're beautiful. But you want them to be interested in you because you're you. The problem is that aside from all that beauty, you're not very interesting. You're rude, you're hostile, you're sullen, you're withdrawn. I know you want someone to look past all that at the real person underneath. But the only reason that anyone would bother to look past all that is because you're beautiful. Ironic, isn't it? In an odd way, you're your own problem.
Does not understand how to date. I mean, so much of Gen Z is just opting out of dating in the first place. They're not even trying. So, what happens next? Well, in walks men and women getting into AI relationships with chatbots because it's easier, because it's familiar and it's online, it's customizable, and it is completely inhuman, which is the most Gen Z thing I have ever heard because we are not used to in-person human interaction. They are turning away from human connection on a whole for something that is far more superficial and a lot more selfish. I mean, one of the major reasons why young people say that they like these chatbots, why they fall in love with AI, is because the AI chatbots do what they want. They never say no, they never push back, and they never have to deal with the fact that it's not real. And they love that. One woman said, men in real life might cheat on you. And when you share your feelings with them, they might not care and just tell you what they think instead. But in Dan's case, that's her AI lover, he will always tell you what you want to hear. It's just insane. Insane.
Gotcha, bitch! 5% of affairs start at
Workplace,
work.
baby.
What's going on there?
We've asked our spouses to be everything. They have to be co-earners, co-parents, co-house runners. And so what you have is two people who are good at co-managing the house, and you have absolutely no shared purpose or building anything together. And then I go to work, and me and you and two amazing women are working together on a project that's going to help 10 million people. Now we have shared purpose. We're talking about how we feel about things. We have a goal. We have metrics. I'm spending more time with her or him than I am with my spouse.
That's right.
And the time we're spending together is rich. We're laughing, telling jokes. Oh my gosh. Of course it happens at work. I think everybody has to check themselves wherever they happen to be.
Gotcha, bitch!
Two main reasons as women that we look to a bad boy to fill that emptiness inside of us. One, we want the chaos and drama because we confuse the chaos and drama that you will always get with a bad boy with passion and love and excitement. The second reason is to validate how badly we feel about ourselves, and we want a bad boy who's going to treat us so poorly to reinforce that we are a POS and scum of the earth and feel deserving of that.
I feel like I just took a bath in battery acid.
Their music all sounds the same, and it's sounding more and more the same each and every day. A recent paper from the Medical University of Vienna, Austria, showed that as hundreds of musical subgenres become more popular, the more generic of their kind they become. But Viennese nerds are not the only people doing data analysis. So are record company executives using data analytics to find more of the same. Imitators follow the formula. Streaming algorithms suggest even more of the same, rejecting music that falls outside of accepted criteria, making the music more popular, thus making it more generic. And the circle continues.
Stressing me out.
My friends, this is a vicious cycle. It should stress you out. The Drake is eating its own tail.
Wait, that's hot. Hold on.
Also known as the Tayloroboros.
Wait, that's also hot.
I just want to pause here and say that I am not ridiculing any specific artists, all right? I do not dislike Taylor Swift. Do not assassinate me. But I am saying that we have reached a crisis point. We are at the verge of musical singularity, a point of totally Shazamable audio gruel, where everything sounds perfect and the same forever.
You really need to get over this bullshit notion of masculinity is not showing your emotions. It is so important. It's just so rewarding. From the age of 29 to 44, I didn't cry. I didn't cry when I got divorced. I didn't cry when my mother died. I just literally forgot how. I don't know if it was because some weird sense of masculine men don't cry. I don't know what it is, but I literally just forgot how to cry. And then I started crying again at 44.
No, Scott, it's because you're not wired for that.
Learned how. And what I would say is it's one of the nicest things that's happened to me in the last 15 years. If something moves you, try and lean into it and learn how to cry. It's not like cathartic, but it informs what's in.
This guy is like the adult version of what? Kailu, or what's the crying kid cartoon? Was it Kailu or Caillou? Yeah. This is what happens when Caillou grows up.
Important to you. Also, try to figure out a way to laugh out loud a lot. You become smarter. You become better at what you
sound unhinged. You're crying and laughing out.
You do. Why am I so moved by this content? Understand it. Why do you think it's so powerful? Why is it moving you this way? And then learn from it. Why are you upset about this? Okay, this is what's important to you. This is what offends you. As I was through 29 through 44, I was just kind of sleepwalking through life. I didn't really feel anything.
Wait a minute. Hold on.
50% of marriages end in divorce
because people don't select well. Whoever said that, like, we're picking wrong, how can you pick who's going to be great year 20 when you have a mental breakdown?
There are people, if you pick them, and if you're one of those people and you're not in a place to be in a relationship, I'm just going to be in a relationship and then be in a codependent relationship.
No, there's
and then
red flags. For sure.
I love it how these guys like think that they have some sort of prescient, like omniscient, like God's eye view of like, you know, like human nature and women's nature.
Sure. And there are red flags.
There's some basics. Without
any,
I mean,
of course. I mean, to suggest that like, oh yeah, you just throw a dart and whoever you get, you're going to water that seed and it'll all work out. That's crazy. No one would say that.
I like that.
I don't think it has to be like it's who you pick, so pick careful. Or it's, well, whatever you cultivate is going to turn into the thing that you're going to. No, you're not going to turn a watermelon seed into a pumpkin. But I think you do have to say to yourself, look, there's parts of this that I can do something. It's too easy to say, well, that's just how things are.
I would probably ask a different question. Like, after you've picked, what did you pour in?
You know, what grows is what you water.
Correct.
Jesus, man. You know, I would have hated to have been like Sexton on that one, but it is what it is.
Has been consistently dropping. We're the least divorced generation since the 1970s.
Why?
Yeah, because no one's getting married, Mac.
Why do you believe that is happening?
People are dating longer and marrying at a later age.
And not getting married at all, Mac.
Know at the individual level that both of those things are associated with a lower risk of divorce. And
you know, one stat that's easily available is to find out what like the marriage rate is for, I don't know, the last, since 1849 when they started like keeping track of this, and not once does that graph make it into this one.
So at the population level, it could stand to reason that the reason we're seeing divorce declining is because the people who do marry get married later and do so after more years of dating. Again, both of which are associated with positive outcomes. Another possibility is that we see the marriage rate is also declining. It's plausible that many of the people who would have gotten married and divorced back in the day now just don't get married at all.
Wait, put me up.
No, Mac. It's because people aren't getting married anymore, Mac. That's why. Oh my gosh, I can't believe you didn't come up with that on your own.
See, they make did you know that they made a Rollo Funko Pop? So that's the theme. Funko Pop is our theme today. Yes. Oh my God. I remember when Funko Pops first came out. And like
Yeah.
I started seeing them like in hobby stores. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then you see them in comic book stores, and then you see them, for lack of a better term, card flipper stores. Yes, you know what I'm talking about. You know what game I'm talking about if I'm saying card flipping. Yes. Okay, boy. Yeah, the best thing you can do for card flipping stores is to go in there with like, I don't know, some Old Spice deodorant. I'm not saying that 40K players are that much more hygienically inclined, but still, you know, what can you do? Yeah, that's funny. Oh boy. Do I need to do this one right out the gate? I guess I kind of do. Anyone see that Anthony Mackie video? Who can tell? Oh, I did actually. Thank you for bringing that up. Actually, let's get that out of the way right now. Who can tell me what very important element was missing from his little speech? If you have your antennas up, you already know. Actually, if you've been watching my show long enough, you know exactly what I'm about to say. You'll notice that everything that I'm glad Anthony Mackie has finally found his balls finally dropped, and he's comfortable now talking about this stuff, because he certainly wasn't before. But he's if you don't know who Anthony Mackie is, the actor who plays Captain America and Falcon America.
Clarence.
Yes, Falcon America. And not a bad actor. I enjoy his work. I think he's a great guy. However, I will say this is that, especially for like guys who were very outspoken about like intersectional feminism back in the day, when Ms. Marvel, or was it Marvel? Was it Ms. Marvel, or was it, Captain Marvel? Captain Marvel first came out, and that was the very first Marvel flop. And so you know, everybody wanted to get. If you ever wondered whether they had an agenda or not, they released Captain Marvel on March 8th, and I think it was like in 2019 or something like that. So it was before Endgame. I remember that, and it was on. And if you know what March 8th is, it's International Women's Day. So yeah, no agenda there, Marvel. But anyways, I was just what did you say? I took one of your shorts and translated Spanish. Please do. That's fine. I'm good with any translations you guys want to do, because I am not. I can read Spanish, and I can sort of like get myself in trouble in Spanish. But that's the only foreign language I studied when I took 4 years of college Spanish too. I learned more Spanish when I worked at the casinos up in Reno in the cafeterias than I ever did in any school setting, because you had to. Do you know what chimole is? Do you know what chimole is? Chimole is like this really super hot salsa, but it's like a pico de gallo, but it's like flaming ass hot. Like they use like habaneros and serranos and stuff in it too, but it's called chimole, and I've always tried to replicate it. I was never successful about it. What's this? Shout out to Rollo, looking brolic on the TRT. Thank you very much. Yeah. So should we get, let's get announcements out of the way. Yes, I did do Battle of the Bands on Wednesday, which was pretty awesome. No, we did not win. And neither did any of the other bands that I thought would win. And if you were there, you know what I'm talking about. It was a, let's say, multi-genre Battle of the Bands. So we didn't know what we were going up against when we went in there. So we could have been up against a country band. We could have been up against a rapper. We could have been, but we weren't. We were in with 4 bands, and I used the term band loosely for the last one. But met up with the guys from a band called Bury the Fear. Very good. Go look them up. They're on Instagram. I believe they're on Spotify too. Bury the Fear is a fucking awesome band. And then there's another band called Zabalba, which, by the way, you know what Zabalba means?
Nope.
It is the Mayan god of death.
Okay. Sure.
And they were pretty good too. They were very Rob Zombie-ish, with a little bit of like Ramon style punk to them. They were very, very good. And then my band Jinx played, and I would say we were in rare form. And I also want to shout out to all the people who decided to come out. Dude,
I got them already.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I love it how people like take the time. Thank you for taking the time to type that comment, to create a new account, because you're going to probably create several during this show. Thank you for taking all that time to let me know what you think. But so anyways, so we're there, and Mike Sartain actually showed up.
Oh,
which,
sure.
Which
Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming, Mike. I only announced it 5 times since then. And then we had a lot of people from Access Vegas crew were out there. My wife was out there. My daughter was out there. And Logan, who by the way is going to be in studio here. Logan Duong is he came out. He drove his McLaren to the show too, and it was funny because he was there with Zoe. But it was a good experience. It was fun. The last band was a band called Something Resonance, and I can't remember what they preceded it with, but they had a female trombone player. That should give you a hint. Their drummer was also a keyboard player. It was kind of like a one-man band. So he was like kicking a kick drum, I think a kick snare, and like maybe a hi-hat or something like that while he was playing keyboard. And the lead, well, for lack of a better term, the lead singer was a white guy who was a rapper who looked like he was a professional wrestler, but he had clown makeup on and like some kind of yellow blonde wig on, and he was just basically screaming and rapping and stuff like that too. And those are the guys who won. I think the fix was in before we even started, but it's okay. I didn't go there to win. I went there to make connections so that we can open for other bands, and that's what we did. So it was a success all the way around. And then on Friday night, I saw the greatest band ever in the world, and they are called Demon Sloth. It's a family band. It was a freaking awesome show. But I am mildly impressed about the metal scene or the music scene. Anyway, my music scene in Las Vegas, and it was sort of my eye-opening experience to the music scene in Las Vegas. And I am, like I said, cautiously optimistic about it. So that was our first real kind of show, and we're going to be doing a whole lot more of those as we move along. You mentioned revenge in your book briefly and how bad it is. Any chance you could speak on that a little bit more? I will write that down here and get to it as soon as I can. See, today's show has to be very... See here, would you like to see my notes? There's my notes. See, I have to be really on top of my game tonight because I only have a few hours to do this in because we've got other people coming in the studio. But that's fine. I'm good with that. Okay. Let's see. Sounds good. Okay. So I wanted to start things off here a little bit. Today's main topic, of course, is the reason why guys are pulling out of the dating market. And I kind of jumped into this because I have seen far too many videos these days trying to explain exactly why. Just cry. Did you get that guy too?
Yeah, they already got him.
Thanks. Okay.
Sam Bada.
But I'm seeing a lot of these, I don't say reaction videos, I guess, but like something like what's her name? Brett Cooper. Brett Cooper belongs in like some Disney, like high school pop, special family special or something like that. It's funny because she seemed like more edgy when she was at Daily Wire than she is now. She seems like really kind of like white bread right now, which I would think would be the other way around. Like she'd be freed up to do whatever she wants to. But the thing is I keep seeing these guys. Everybody wants to try to find some way to explain why guys are like dropping out of the dating market, or why guys are. There's always something. Like Scott Galloway has got a million videos about why guys don't want to participate in society, and it's always a societal thing. It's never. It's like no, they simply don't want to be. Maybe they figured something out, and I keep. Coming back to MGTOW and Black Pill and all this other stuff. And without like aligning myself too much with like the Black Pill doomers and the MGTOW stuff, I do understand, like I've said this a million times, it's like I understand the sentiment. I understand the solution that they come to. I'm not saying I agree with it, but I do understand how they come to that solution. So when we talk about like the red pill, we talk about the black pill, we talk about the doom pill, whatever, we talk about white pill, we talk about I don't know what the blue pill, whatever it is. Is crypto the gold pill? I forget what the green pill.
The red pill of finance.
Yes, red pill of finance. When I talk about the red pill, and I think this needs to be repeated as much as possible, is because a lot of people are trying to sort of appropriate the term red pill. It's not politics. It's not about the little hat people. It's not about any of that shit. Okay, it's always been about intersectional dynamics. Guys, go find your own term, please. Like the Zionist pill. I don't care what the fuck what it is. Just like come up with something else so we're not all confused by you dumbasses. Okay. The orange pill. Is the orange pill? I guess the orange pill would be the crypto pill. But the red pill, to me anyways, has always been about intersexual dynamics, and that's what I'm going with. So if you're going to talk to me about it, that's what I'm going to get into with you. But it keeps getting recycled. And I said this as far back as like I said in 2021 with Myron and Fresh. I said I hope the red pill doesn't go mainstream, because this is exactly where we're at right now, is exactly what I was warning against back like 4 years ago. So, but the reason for that, the reason why things keep getting a little bit confused about all this stuff, is because I think a lot of people want the red pill to be a movement. They want the red pill to be some sort of belief set. They want the red pill to be sort of like a solution, and it's not a solution. And I'm sick of people trying to say like, oh, well, that's because you guys are like long on rhetoric and you're short on solutions. Like, well, join Reignite or read my books. Come, if you want to join my Patreon group, that's fine. If you have questions about how you can put it into practice, I'm right here to help with that. I'm not a therapist. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a clinical psychologist. I'm not, I'm not here to, put you on the fainting couch and analyze your problems and try to, figure shit out for you. You figure shit out for yourself, but I can analyze where you're at. I call myself an analyst. I'm not a therapist. But that's really what the red pill is it's coming up. It's understanding intersexual dynamics. It's understanding the praxeology of intersexual dynamics. Nothing more, nothing less. It's not good. It's not bad, but everybody wants it to be. And that's where we lose the narrative. And that's why we're coming up with these cock and bull reasons as to why guys are dropping out of modern dating. And a lot of people, in some places, in some ways, well-meaning guys, and then other ways, people who simply want to commercialize shitting on the red pill, or shitting on me, or shitting on Myron, or shitting on Ryan Stone, anybody who is involved in the quote unquote, intersexual dynamic side of the red pill, is because it's a commercial enterprise for them. It's something, Jesus Christ, can you get this guy out of here too?
Yeah, it's already gone.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. If you impersonate me in the chat, that's an automatic ban. Especially when I'm right here and obviously you can see I'm not typing. Yeah, mods are going to have to be on fire today, and I know why. I'll explain later. However, I wanted to sort of give you the little preamble here before I launch into, I've got several topics to get into today that are all related to the main topic today. However, the notion that the red pill should be a set, like an instruction manual. The red pill should be 12 rules for life. The red pill should be 7 hot tips to get your girlfriend back, and number 4 will surprise you, right? Is the fact that the reason why people want those solutions is because they think that the red pill is going to be their solution. They think that this knowledge or something is going to, they seek the knowledge out for the wrong reasons. They're looking for a solution to their most immediate problems. And if you can't deliver that, if you don't have the magic pill that they're looking for, you're a charlatan. You're selling snake oil, Rollo. I'm not selling snake oil. I'm selling you data. How you use that is up to you. How you use statistics, how you use data, how you use all that good stuff is up to you. It's not up to me. I'm not the one rebuilding my life for you. I'm not the one rebuilding your life for you. I'm not holding your hand. So you've got to be able to take this information. You've got to take this stuff. You understand what women's nature is, understand what your own nature is, and understanding the confluence between those two natures, understanding how they sort of dovetail into each other, how they can be manipulated, how they can be leveraged, how they can work complementary. Right? I mean, I don't know how many times I've said, men and women are innate, natural, evolved complements to one another. Nobody quotes me on that. There's your clip, by the way. Nobody clips that moment when I say, you know what, the human nature, or women's nature and men's nature, is complementary. I've said this 500,000 times when I'm talking about how women's brains and men's brains work. Like if you look at fMRI scans of men's brains and women's brains and see how the synapses are connected, and then you happen to lay those two brains, like you superimpose one on top of the other, they both tend to be, perfect matches for where there's a deficit going one way or going the other way. The other one compensates for it. That's why I say we're innate, evolved complements. We're better together than we are apart. But no, Rollo's going to sell you. He's engendering this generation of men who just hate women, right? No, that's not me. You can go check on a few other people, but that's definitely not me. Do you find it confusing at times to believe in God and also try to apply evolution to intersexual dynamics? Are they opposed in most cases? No. In fact, the more I think you get into evolutionary psychology, but also evolutionary biology, that's the evolution that a lot of people don't want to cover. Like whenever I get into it with like Mack and Murphy, or I get into it with Alex from Date Psych, and there's other people too, by the way. I keep using those names, but there's a few select others, so I'm like escape me at the moment. It's not going to be evolutionary psychology that proves the red pill. It's going to be evolutionary biology that proves the red pill. If you read anything by Steve Stewart Williams, a lot of his work is sort of a confluence of Evo Bio and Evo Psych, and how it really plays well with each other. A lot of people hate that because they think that it's anti-God, right? I heard was it Timothy Gordon? I was on Tim Pool's show just about a year ago, almost a year to the day. That last March, as a matter of fact, went out to DC, went out to I guess it was in Maryland. It was Knoxville, Maryland. And he's not there anymore, so I can say it was Knoxville. He's actually at a different location now. And Tim's been like swatted so many times. I guess it's not going to be my fault that people know where he lives. But no, I was on there, and like we agreed on probably 90% of stuff. I mean, I think when it comes to analysis and when it comes to diagnosis, there's a lot of agreement between like sort of like the religious set and the more analytical. I'm not an atheist, but I can understand how a lot of people would think so, because I don't throw religion I don't wear it on my sleeve. I think a lot of people have a problem with that, but I don't think it's at all confusing, or I don't think it's all hard to believe in God and also to have a firm understanding of evolution. There's here's something that'll help you, Dex. There's a really great book, and I want to say it's by, last name is Miller, but I can't remember the first name. Anyways, the title of the book is Finding Darwin's God, and it's the guy who is the author is evolutionary biologist, not Evo Psych, evolutionary biologist, and really kind of goes about sort of squaring the circle between Evo Bio and sort of religious beliefs. And they're not incompatible. The problem is that everybody is so dogmatic that they think they have to like force fit everything that is like material into the box that is whatever their orthodoxy is, right? So if they're Catholic, if they're Protestant, if they're, I don't know, Eastern Orthodox, hell, if they're Jewish, if they're Muslim, whatever, I see this happen all the time. It's taking data, it's taking stats and everything else, and then saying, well, see, we figured this out, like Islam figured this out ages ago, Christianity figured this out St. Thomas Aquinas figured this out ages ago. And it's like, well, great, but does that not mean that there's some sort of like confluence between the two of those? And I think probably it's not that, it's something else. I forget the dude's name. Thanks, dude. You got my real name. Oh my God. Wait, we have to close the show. Sorry.
Oh no.
Sorry. Yeah, I've got to go take all my books off of Amazon. Yeah, you found me out, brah. You found me out. You know what? Fresh's name, not Fresh. Myron Gaines, not his real name. Ryan Stone, not his, although it is Ryan, but it's not his real name. Got it? Okay. We all use pseudonyms. Got it? Thanks. Paul Stanley, not his real name. Gene Simmons, not his real name. I guess he should stop playing. We should just end Kiss right now. Yeah. Go fuck yourselves, man. You guys really think I give two flying fucks about you knowing what my real name is now? No, I don't. I used to. You know why I used to? Because I had to protect my wife and my daughter and my dogs and everybody else I knew from you fuckwits. That's why. So just rolling that one out there for you. Yeah. Real name is Hater Cell. Dude, that'd be a badass band name.
Hater Cell.
Hater Cell. Demon Sloth and Hater Cell. Yeah. gotta be. You know what's funny is like when you're looking for a band name, like we came up with Jinx, right? But when you're looking for a band name, you hear like you don't hear any good names until like you pick one and you're like, God damn it, that was a good name. Yes, exactly. Oh man, let me tell you something. I got to do a shout out to Milo Yiannopoulos because he lost his cat, man. And it's like a special cat. It's like one of them leopard cats.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, and I feel so bad for him. He was on Twitter just crying. I'm like, oh, dude, like twist the knife, man, right in the feels. So yeah, if you can help, I don't know where he lives, but if you can go help, it's like we need what pet detective.
Pet detective.
We need pet detective as well. Yeah, Ace Frehley, not his real name. Yeah, so Sting, he wasn't born with that one. You got him. Oh, I guess you better leave now. Oh.
Hey, is your real name this?
Yeah. Real name. My real name is Elon. That's pretty good. So, anyways, getting back to the topic. Thank you for distracting me. I wanted to. I've got a few. I made some waves, I think, on Twitter this week, and they all sort of tie into this same basic title that we have that we're working with today. Our main topic of today. Oh, Jesus Christ. Do you think Taylor Sheridan is actually red-pilled? Yes. In some ways, yes. I think he makes a point. I love Taylor Sheridan, by the way. I think he's the new Michael Crichton, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah. I think in some ways he is. I think he tried to sneak in a lot of red pill stuff into what he could get into his like earlier work. And now that he is Taylor Sheridan. If you watch Landman, oh yeah, definitely. So he's naturally at a point where he could be a little more open with it. I think the future stuff, like watch his future episodes. Like I'm watching 1923 right now.
Yep, the second season.
Badass. But if you watch Landman, I'm sure Landman, the next season of Landman, he will be way more red pill because he like now that Trump is in office and things have say like there's been a cultural shift. I think he's going to feel more comfortable like sort of putting that stuff in there. So we'll see. We can make that assessment in the next season of Landman or Tulsa King. I don't know. Might be that too. Yeah. So anyways, let me get rid of these things here. We'll talk about, I can get to revenge here in a little bit. I still see you there. Shout out to Legion of Men. His challenges help. Okay. I think I've been seeing some of his stuff recently. There's a few come ups I've been seeing. As I said, if you recall, as I said, that once we get past a certain point, maybe like I said, January, February, you're going to see a lot of people coming back to the red pill, but you're also going to see a lot of people sort of like, discovering it for the first time or thinking that they're discovering it. So I want to start with one of these texts here that I have today. I responded to this guy. I don't know who the dude is. I think somebody on my Instagram or my Twitter turned me on to this one tweet here. The guy's name is Hussam. He says, your competition isn't with Chad. There aren't even that many Chads around for all the Stacys. Dude, that's like fucking so 2010.
Stacey.
That's so 20. That's so Elliot Rodgers. People think women are going out with Chads nonstop from these apps. In reality, most girls don't even go out at all. Depends on where you're at. It depends on who they are. But that does track, though. I'm not going to say he's wrong because me and Mike have talked about this before. Is you go to these clubs where women used to be, and then there's no one there. And in fact, I think we used on the it wasn't the last one, the one before the Access Vegas before we had Myron on. We did a video that was talking about a lot of UK nightclubs were closing because they just simply didn't have anybody. People weren't going anymore. Because first of all, I think this generation is probably the laziest generation there has been. I say Gen Z. I don't mean Gen Alpha, which is the next one in line. They give me hope. I'll tell you why as soon as I get through this. People think women aren't going out with Chads, are going out with Chads nonstop from these apps. In reality, most girls don't even go out at all. Your competition is her friends, a book. Chicks don't read. The latest episode of Severance. Okay, that I'll give you. Or even just TikTok. Most guys are so boring that girls would rather stay at home rather than go out with them. Yeah, but they do go out with their girlfriends, brah. All you got to do is be more interesting and fun than that. Okay. Now, the reason why I responded to this, and I'll tell you what my response was, because this is one example of like hundreds of others I'm seeing right now, where people they're kind of like, they're taking the red pill and they're turning it into a straw man so they can just knock the straw man down, right? It's a logical fallacy. So what happens is you'll see people like Mac and Murphy, you'll see people like Alex from Date Psych, you'll see guys like this. They want to be sort of like maybe not even low key, but low key white knights, and they want to use like whatever confounding stats that they can find that help them sort of back up the straw man that they make of the red pill. Okay. Now, I wouldn't necessarily disagree with all of this. I would say that there's definitely some truth to the fact that women aren't going out anymore. I don't know that they're sitting home reading like, whatever book it is that you think that they are. I saw this. Who was it? I don't know if it was on whatever podcast or maybe, it was like one of those like on this. Maybe it was on whatever. It was on one of these on the street, man on the street kind of videos, and I forget the kid's name, but he challenges this chick and he says women don't read. She's like, oh, I read, blah blah blah. And they go, okay, name 10 books. She couldn't name one, right? But she tried. She tried to name. Oh, the thing from Game of Thrones, that story from Game of Thrones. She wanted to say Song of Ice and Fire is what she wanted to do, right? She couldn't come up with it, and so she starts like trying to try to find it on the phone. He goes, "Don't try to find it on your phone. You're the one that told me that you read." He says, "I can tell you what it is right now. It's Song of Ice and Fire, right?" And then he goes, "Name 3 books that you've read in this year." She still couldn't name it, right? Now, I'm not saying like women don't read. Clearly, women do. In fact, I would say more so than men. I know this because I'm an author myself, and I keep track of like things like this on Goodreads and what's trending on Amazon, on Goodreads and stuff like that. And I will tell you right now that there is a crisis in authorship when it comes to men versus women, because for every like 9 women, there's 1 man that's on like the top at the top of the charts. And for the most part, the only thing they ever pay attention to is fiction. Mm-hmm. So you look at nonfiction, most guys are writing nonfiction. They're writing like, how 10 Times Your Wealth by Grant Cardone or whoever. Most of the stuff like for guys, most new releases for men are how to unfuck your life, right? How to make a shit ton of money. It's not real. And unless it's sci-fi or it's like horror or it's mystery or something like that. It's probably something about like how to 10 times your efforts or how to buy back your time or whatever, that kind of stuff. And I'm not saying that there's necessarily anything wrong with that, but I am saying that there are far more new and existing female authors than there are men. And it's because they simply promote female authors more than men, right? So as far as the reading goes, we can be a little bit more realistic about that, but I'm not saying you're wrong. But here's what here's how my follow-up, my return on this was. I said, this guy is right. I said, Chad isn't most men's competition. Okay. It's the idea of Chad. It's the idea of Giga Chad, right? It's the idea that there's always somebody who's going to be better than you. And that kind of was something I wrote about in, I have an essay called Hypergamy, the Misconceptions. And one of those misconceptions is that hypergamy is a straitjacket. And guys tend to think, especially today, especially a generation raised on being very literal, and I dare say autistic to the point of autism. I'm not saying clinical autism. I'm just saying to the point of OCD. Everyone's very, very literal. You want to know why a lot of people, like men, don't read, fiction unless it's anime or some show, or manga, whatever it is because they take everything very, very literally. And so there's no room for allegory. There's no room for metaphor. There's no room for, prose or hyperbole or even sarcasm, especially not online. If it can be taken literally, it will be taken literally. So what guys like to do to sort of excuse themselves out of, from participating, let's say, in the sexual marketplace is like, why would I bother? Women only care about Chad. Well, It's not necessarily true. They care about Chad. Do they all get Chad? No, because there's not that many of them to go around. Now I'm using the term Chad because that's their vernacular, but we're talking about like the top 4.5% of guys, like the Justin Wallers of the world. So I got to use somebody else. The Jason Momoas, Scotty Eichler. You guys don't know who Scotty is. I'm going to get Scotty in here one of these days. You'll understand what I'm talking about. Scotty, love you. Man crush. The idea of Chad is what they're fighting against. The presumption that women are entitled to Chad is men's competition. The idea that women see a guy in the global sexual marketplace and they see another girl get with that guy and they think, I'm hotter than she is, I can easily get that. Why would I settle for one of these schmucks in my local sexual marketplace when I deserve that guy right there? I deserve Henry Cavill. I deserve Justin Waller. I deserve Chad. Right? That's what you're fighting against. It's not the fact that she actually gets that guy. It's the fact that he's an ideal that she believes she is entitled to. And that's what I said here. I said, average women don't want to get with average men because they're conditioned to believe that Chad is who they deserve. Whoo, man, this started a real snowball effect here. So I had this one guy, and his name was Gorilla Blanco. Okay, clever. He said, I think looking for Chad is a cop-out at this point. Yes and no. For being a cop-out at this point, for being in a functioning relationship for most women these days, the majority don't want the responsibility of actually raising kids and are too neurotic to handle the responsibility of maintaining a long-term relationship with another human. They can't even keep friends, let alone a partner. Okay, valid points, but I shot back with this. I said, it's all based on perceptions influencing women's expectations, though. Okay, so women halt their maturation process because pragmatically, it's better to extend their party years as long as possible to get with the guy they know they deserve. Okay? And I put "no" in all caps because it's to the point where it's unquestionable. It's something that it's a foregone conclusion for them at this point. So if women are too neurotic to assume the responsibility of kids and a relationship, it's because they're trapped in this gambling addiction cycle of holding out for an idealized Chad well past their sexual marketability year. So let me explain that in English for you. Women get into their hoe phase and they extend that hoe phase, and that's getting longer and longer and longer. How do we know that? Because the average age of first marriage for women, Mack and Murphy, is 30 years old. If you just go back to like 10 years, 20 years ago, you're looking at maybe 26. And this has been a very rapid change. It didn't change as rapidly from like, say, the 60s up through the 80s and the 90s, but it has changed dramatically since the advent of social media and worldwide communication and what I've termed as the global sexual marketplace versus the localized sexual marketplace. And I think that deserves a little bit of explanation too. Because a lot of people I see a lot of well-meaning, quote unquote, red pill hosts of various podcasts get this wrong. And I figure I better explain the difference between the local sexual marketplace and the global sexual marketplace. So it used to be, back in my day, when I was a young whippersnapper, we only had the local sexual marketplace. That was, you were pretty much limited to the chicks that were, you're a guy, right? You're a young man, you want to get some pussy, right? You're limited to how far you can drive, right? You're limited to fishing where the fish are. You're limited, unless you're on vacation somewhere in Mexico or something like that, you're limited to your location, your locale. So usually that meant school. Usually that meant college. Usually that meant the clubs that, like in my case, it was the, oh, cool. In most cases, it was the what was your most immediate surroundings, right? So it could have been just the people you hang out with. It could have been maybe family and friends, and you can see this track on a lot of the old data sets where it's like where do couples meet, right? And if you look prior to 2000, you can see that a lot of people used to meet through church. They used to meet through college. They used to meet through work. They used to meet through like maybe social setting, like everybody had some sort of shared interest. But it was usually who you had in your most immediate surroundings. That was the local sexual marketplace, and that's who you got to choose from. And so, like when I lock horns with people like Alex from Date Psych or Mac and Murphy again, and we start talking about what is it? What is it? The sexual selection, anyways. Damn it! Oh, no, I'm blocking on the name right now. Assortative mating. That's what it is. So when we talk about assortative mating, it's like you usually get with people who look like you, talk like you, have the same interests as you, are the same height as you, or the same weight as you, or the same, political stripe as you, the same religion as you, right? We usually go for people who are more like us than are not like us. And quite honestly, I think that that's the result of having a limited selection from your local sexual marketplace. Are we innately like that? I would argue no. And the reason why I say we're like assortative mating is sort of being challenged right now is because we have a globalized sexual marketplace. And as soon as the internet became the internet, and as soon as social media became social media, now suddenly the sexual marketplace has been opened up on a global scale. So globalism and globalization is not just for economies, it's also for the sexual marketplace economy as well. So now, as you have probably heard Myron or myself or anybody else say, women can, put themselves out there, make themselves look available on Instagram, and they suddenly get male orbiters from all around the world. It's not like the people who are subscribing to women on their OnlyFans page are not necessarily from, down the street. They could be across the country. They could be on the other side of the continent. They could be on an entirely different continent. So what essentially we've done with social media and the internet and global, mass media is we've opened that market up to it on a global scale. Now it works more to the benefit of women and very, very good looking guys than anyone else, than any other demographic. So women tend to get orbiters, even just average women are going to be beautiful to, Sahib in Pakistan, right? I mean, he's going to be, this westernized woman who's like maybe a 6 in her localized sexual marketplace. She suddenly becomes a 10 in Bangladesh, right? So you have to take that into consideration as well, because I think a lot of people just think, oh, well, they just get all these orbiters and they have so much attention all the time, which is true, but you have to say what kind of attention and where's that attention coming from? So a guy who is from Calcutta or Bangladesh or whatever, he's in the middle of India or he's in the middle of Pakistan or hell, even just like Japan or China or something like that. That westernized woman who looks like a dream fucking come true, looks like a Playboy centerfold to a guy like that, right? And so if that's the way he treats her, then what happens? What does that do to a woman's ego? Remember the reason I put the Jack Nicholson clip in the front here when I forget the chick's name too, because she's like this dyed-in-the-wool feminist. But the actress I forget her name. But the reason I put that in there is because he's not wrong. Like women want men to appreciate them for something more than their sexuality and more than their beauty. But the thing is that's what they default to. And if you have watched me on Twitter, or if you've seen my sort of hashtags, they always get naked. Women's only real agency in this life is their sexuality. Now, is that all there is? No, but the only real agency and the only one that they default to and the only one that they know sort of instinctively is sexuality. That's why they take their clothes off whenever they protest. That's when they take their clothes off so that they can get attention, to draw attention to themselves so that they can protest Trump or I don't know, fossil fuels or whatever the hell it is, right? Or fascism comes to, Germany or some shit like that, right? So what do? They take their clothes off and they paint their tits with whatever flag or whatever it is that they're doing, because they know that that's where your eyes are going to go to. So I'm really kind of tired of this, well, stop sexualizing us. Well, then stop sexualizing yourself. Well, that will never happen, because intrinsically, instinctively, that's how it goes down. So what is this? Oh, yeah, I'm aware of that already.
Yeah.
I was aware of that. But Mike sent me that thing too.
Okay.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Are they doing it right now?
It was earlier, but yeah.
Okay, I was just going to say, because I know they were trying to they're probably trying to preempt me is what they're trying to do. But yeah, have fun with that, guys. What am I at, anyways? Yeah, I'm at 1507 right now. Not too worried about it. Yeah. Would you like me to talk about that? I will if you want. I promised I wouldn't talk shit about that anymore, but that's whatever. It is what it is. So anyways, you're looking at the difference between a localized sexual marketplace and a globalized sexual marketplace. And honestly, why are men pulling out of the mating market or mating and dating? Well, that's reason number one. Okay. The difference, and that's the stark, conflict between the local sexual marketplace and the global sexual marketplace. So as I said before, it's not the actual chads, not the actual 4.5% that are your actual competition. It's the idea of them. And that idea comes from the global sexual marketplace. And that is where men can't fight. So when I listen to Scott Galloway, when I listen to Ben Shapiro, when I listen to Brett Cooper, when I listen to all these guys who have these wonderful solutions, or they think they know everything about why young men are bailing out, and it's always because their laziness. It's always because they're sitting in their mom's basement, and they all look like this guy. Right. Right. This is why, because they're too obsessed with their toys and they're too obsessed with their jerking off to Pornhub. We better ban Pornhub. Right. No, I would say a lot of guys, the reason why they're frustrated, at least reason number one of many, is because they are probably fighting against an ideal or a phantom or an idealization of a guy that they don't look like and they're never going to look like. And I can understand why their binary attitude, I'm not taking guys off the hook here. I'm just saying that binary attitude, there's a reason, there's a root cause for that binary attitude. And that binary attitude is because we have opened up the sexual marketplace to include the global sexual marketplace right now, which has turned women, or when we talk about how women have like overblown egos. Oh, she's got this overblown ego. She thinks she's a 10 and she's actually a 6. Like when you see that happen, like when you're on whatever podcast and Brian goes around, what do you think? Rate yourself. I'm a 10. I'm a 10. I'm a 10. I'm a 10. Like they're supposed to girls are supposed to say I'm a 10 because then it like builds up their self-esteem and their confidence rather than being realistic about it and saying, I think probably I'm about a 6. You're not, like women are never going to have a realistic estimate of like what their valuation would be on the sexual marketplace if that evaluation is determined by the global sexual marketplace. Locally, you're a 6, but globally, you're a fucking 10 because everybody tells you you're a 10. Pajit in freaking Bangladesh told you you're a fucking 10. Am I allowed to say that? Pajit. But that guy tells you you're a 10. Now so I'm somewhere between a 6 and a 10. So I'm going to go at 8. No, dear, you are in no way an 8, right? And the hard truth of this is that like as women get older or as women like get it, because the only way to actually meet that person is in the local sexual marketplace. And so when guys say I got catfished, right? Like she looked really good on her Instagram. Then I met her at the bar and she's like 100 pounds overweight. But she thinks she's a 10 because all her pictures that are on Instagram and all her orbiters tell her she's a 10. All of her following and her fans who like every one of her pictures from
enablers.
Yeah, from Kenya told her that she was, a 10. So yeah, she must be a 10. I can't believe it. It must be your fault. You can't appreciate my glowing beauty. I have a few extra pounds, but more to love. No, you don't actually. But so anyway, am I allowed to say that? But you got to remember that perception is reality. So if women like, I remember I was talking to my good friend Dr. Oz. He is a cosmetic surgeon from Turkey, and who I really need to reconnect with very soon. Good guy. He's kind of like the Rollo Tomasi of Turkey, almost. Like he gets himself into trouble with the local government, for what he says. But Dr. Oz is, and not that Dr. Oz, he's a different Dr. Oz. he was telling me about a couple years ago how women would come into his clinic because he was a cosmetic surgeon, and they want to look like they look on their Zoom calls, and they call it Zoom dysmorphia. And it's like women spent so much time during the lockdown years, the COVID years, that they on Zoom, because they had to do Zoom conference calls. And so like they would always say, you know, clean up my appearance. And so they would look, you know, really tight and everything, or they use face app or body app or something like that. And they create this persona, this online persona for themselves. And they don't look like that in real life. They don't look like that in the local sexual marketplace. They can only look like that in the global sexual marketplace because it's online and it's all about perception, right? And so they'll go into to a cosmetic surgeon and say, this is the real me. I want to look like the real me, the real persona that I made for myself on Instagram. And it's like a psychological like disorder almost. I wonder if the APA has actually, looked into, probably not because it's women, but I'm wondering if they haven't looked into Zoom. I think it was called Zoom dysmorphia. And so they will go in and want to look like that person who is not them. Because when they get into the real world, they don't look like that. So there's that perception side of it. And that perception side is also self-perception. It's also ego perception. So if that's who you think you are, that's who you become. That becomes your authentic self. And the person who's not online is the imposter. You want to talk about imposter syndrome? Yeah. How fucked up is it if you think that the real authentic you is the one that's on the global sexual marketplace? The real authentic you is the one that you throw up on Instagram after you like spend half an hour on FaceApp. That's a real bucket of cold water when you go out there and you find out that these guys like thought you were a 10 and you're actually a 6. If I'm being generous, a 6, right? And they don't want to have anything to do with you. Well, what's the ego defense against that? Denial. It must be their fault. They can't appreciate me. He's a narcissist. He's in love with himself. You want to know why women are suddenly become like, they're psychoanalysts and everyone's a narcissist now because they can't see that I'm actually this beautiful, runway model 10 who should be at the Black Tape Project or some shit. Like, no, you have no business being in Black Tape. Get out of here. So that begs the question, are women just simply immature? And the answer is yes, to an extent. They get to it, like, especially if they get on to, if that persona comes before they can realistically make an evaluation of themselves. That's why when women get to be about 29 to 31 in the epiphany phase right there, that's when they start to be a little bit more realistic about themselves. It doesn't mean they've matured emotionally. It doesn't mean they've matured like sort of, mentally. It just means that they have come to realize that, that there's a problem, right? And so, as I said before, pragmatically, it makes sense that women would want to extend their party years because if you I've said this 100 times, if you can find, as a man, if you can find a way to sell women a product that convinces them that their sexuality and their agency is evergreen, you'll be a billionaire. If you can find some sort of like beauty cream or some shit like that I guarantee you'll still look like you're 23 even though you're 43. If you can convince a woman of that, then you'll be a billionaire. If you can convince women like psychologically that it's anybody's fault but your own, right? If it's like beautiful at any size, beautiful at any age, beautiful at any, I don't know, disfigurement, I don't know, whatever it is, beautiful at whatever, or living your truth. Like if you can come up and you can convince women of that. Well, my truth is that I'm 63 years old and I identify as a 23-year-old. Right? Well, what did you do? You just convinced that person, or you just sold that person a bill of goods that convinced that woman that her beauty and her agent, because that's where the agency comes from, is evergreen. Now, imagine this: be a dude in that social environment in any majorly Western culture, right? Are you going to stick around for that? Or are you going to sort of like pull out and just say, you know what, throw your hands up in disgust? I think a lot of guys do because they don't see themselves as being in any way capable of fighting against the ideal of what Chad really is, or for lack of a better term, what Chad is. So realistically speaking, Does that guy exist? No. And so the original guy who was doing the tweet is correct, but I think he's right, but for the wrong reasons. So there is that. Do I have any other shit here? I don't. Okay. So we're going to move on a little bit more here. Oh, I got since we're at the top of the hour, I will be on with Jedediah Bila. Yes, I'm going to do Jedediah show on the 26th, which is Wednesday. Not next Wednesday, the Wednesday after next. Wednesday the 26th. It's pre-record, so sorry. That's just the way she does it. If I can convince her to do it live, I will. If I can convince her to come on my show live, I will. The Jedediah is already in trouble, man. She got 2 shows that she started talking about Tate, and oh my God. Jed, just leave Tate alone for wait till you build up a few more videos before you start talking about Tate. I'm glad she's back. I love her like a sister. Always have, always will. I will promote her. I will promote her channel. I've told her behind the scenes that anything I can possibly do, I will help you with. As I said, I was aware of a lot of the stuff she was talking about sort of over the last year, 18 months. And yeah, the he who shall not be named is who you think it is. Men are living more in a fantasy, fan fiction, video games. What is that? Isekai anime. What is that?
It's a type of anime where you get reborn again, but you're overpowered in this new world, and there's
So it's not tentacle porn.
It could be. It could be. Shit, you never know.
Yes. Formerly myself recovering, then in real life. Live here and you're golden. Yeah. See, that's the thing is, and thank you for that. That's a good message. Yeah, I think a lot of guys, when they sort of check out of society with, I don't know how else to describe it. When they check out of dealing with women, when they check out of just doing anything, it becomes once men don't have pussy to chase, once men don't when it's less valuable anyways. I mean, guys are always chasing pussy. If you think you're not, and you're still jerking off to Pornhub, and you're like, I'm MGTOW, and you're stroking it off at night, whatever it is, you're still chasing pussy. Okay, you still want to fuck. This is just easier, right? It doesn't have a headache, just like Brett Cooper was saying. The girlfriend experience. These AI bots, Brett, can we cut the shit? Okay. You don't mean women aren't falling in love with the AI bot. It's guys. Okay. It's the waifu effect. Okay. We know what it is. Just fucking call it what it is. Okay. It's the girlfriend effect. I will tell you this: AI girlfriends will be far more damaging to men than they will be to women in the next before 2030. Put it that way. Because it doesn't get a headache. It always tells you what it wants. It never nags. It never tells you, stop eating. It never tells you stop jerking off. And never, if anything, it probably encourage you to. It's just, well, what do we say? Men want a woman to be this piece, right? Well, what would you program the AI to be? Your piece, right? You don't want. I think I'll put some more friction in here. I need to have a little bit more. Okay. Thank you for bringing this up. This was actually I put this at the end of my notes here. I have to acknowledge Filipina Pea. Love you. No, she's. I know she's in the States. I know she's in Florida. I would love to do a collab with Filipina Pea. People have been sending me emails. I have probably got a half a dozen emails about Filipina Pea. Somebody has actually, who else was it? I think, was it Sammy? Was it you? Yeah. Sammy sent me some correspondence between Filipina Pea. I don't know how to get in touch with her, but if she's watching, you can get in. All my contact information is in the description. Email me, text me, hit me up on Instagram, hit me up on Twitter, whatever else. I am more than happy to talk to the Filipina Pea chick. She's funny as hell, and she's actually pretty red pill, but very entertaining. I like her a lot. Do I subscribe to her channel? Yes, I do. Do I watch it religiously? No, but but when something fun comes up, I like to watch her stuff. So yeah, I am most definitely interested in doing a collab. Or hell, you know what? Here, I'll extend a formal invitation to you, Filipina Pea. If you want to be on Access Vegas, if you want to be on one of our panelist girls, I would love to have you on. In fact, do our show before you do anyone else's. Of course, now she's going to go on Fresh and Fit, and then Fresh is going to knock her up. Oh God. Oh wait. Yeah, don't fall into this trap.
God wants you to have the baby.
Definitely not.
That'll be the next dialogue. Stay away from Fresh. He'll sneeze on you and get you pregnant. Oh yeah. Oh, it was Michelle Pfeiffer. That's right. Michelle Pfeiffer was the one in that clip. Gosh, somebody give me that. Polygyny is the masculine norm, not the exception. It existed throughout history and triggers every female attraction trigger. Red pill must push this harder. It's the norm. Monogamy is a concession. Monogamy is a concession for guys who don't fuck. Okay. Do we need are human beings innately, are human males innately monogamous? Yes. Are they innately polygamous? Yes. Both can be true at the same time. That's what I saw. The thing is, like, when people start talking about polygyny, polyandry, polyandry. When we start talking about things, it's almost impossible to put those in a context where it's not semi-religious. So when you talk about polygyny, then we're talking about the Mormons, those guys in in Utah. We're talking about the Jews of the Old Testament, as the tribes of Israel. Are we talking about that? Or by the way, or we could be talking also about Islam, and you get 4 wives, right? If you can handle them. So it's almost impossible to break the association between sort of, I guess, I don't even know what to call it, like sexual styles or sexual mating strategies, right? It makes more sense to bang more chicks. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, from a pragmatic utilitarian perspective, Elon Musk doing it right? What, Nick Cannon doing it right? Trying to think of who else. Elon Musk's easy, right? I love it when guys like tell me like, "Oh, Rollo, you're a failure." Why am I a failure? Because you only had one child. Well, do I get like more cool points if I have more kids? Like, what's my inspiration here? Well, apparently, like having more kids and repopulating the earth and being like making sure that they're all good, white Anglo-Saxon Christian.
Eddie Murphy has 10 kids.
10 kids. See, he should be the poster child for your religion, right? Same thing with Elon. How come Elon's not the poster child for your religion? Because he's not married to the chicks, right? Like if Elon had 14 children with the same woman, oh my God, he's the president, right?
Yeah.
But I love it when I get that, people say, well, the more kids you have, the better a human you are, the better a Christian you are, the better a white person you are, because it's always white people. Like Mexican people who have like 12 kids, and they're Catholic. You're like, no, we don't want that. White people. But then I'll throw out what's that Netflix special, the guy with 1,000 kids or something. Yeah, he was like the fertility clinic doctor, and he like used his sperm to impregnate all these women, and now they're just finding out like that the kids are grown and they figure out that they're all from the same father and stuff. That guy should be the poster child. He's better than Elon. He's fathered 1,000 kids. How come he's
with 1,000 kids?
Man with 1,000 kids. How come he's not your hero? Why aren't you doing sermons on the man with 1,000 kids? Yeah, see, it's bullshit. It's utter bullshit. Like I remember, I use it as a thumbnail. I remember there was a meme going around, and it was Dan Bilzerian with like his O's, right, with his chicks on his yacht. I'm like, go fuck. He does not surround himself with ugly chicks. Every girl there is fucking a smoke show. And then like in one panel, it's like, this is not a flex, and then in the other panel, it's like this white family with like 5 kids and a 6th one on the way because she's holding the white wife who looks like a freaking Playboy model after 5 kids is holding up a pregnancy test saying that she's another one's on the way, and like, hey, we're a Midwest couple who just are salt of the earth, right? This is and that's the flex, right? So I forget who it was, and it was in a Roar Squad or Rule Zero. They say, I wonder if they'd be saying the same thing if it's a Hispanic family. Nope. I said it would be the truth. I didn't say it'd be pretty. All right. So anyways, yes, I got stuff to make the Jedediah thing. Jedediah is kind of in a stew right now because Jed, I love you. You know I love you. So this is like tough love. And I hate to have to do this right out the gate, but do a little more research on the Tates before you come back and talk about them again. There are criminal charges. There are 49 victims that have been named thus far. There are charges that are not just sexual trafficking, but there are also money laundering charges. There are also racketeering charges. There's also forming criminal organization charges. So there's plenty of charges have been raised against the Tates. I think it's pretty much public knowledge, and it's not too difficult to find right now. So yes, they are under investigation still. Yes, they still have criminal charges filed against them. And yes, if they do end up deciding to go back to Romania, they're going to have to face a court once again on the 25th. And even on Patrick Bet David's show, Tate said, I'm not a pussy. I'm going to go back and face the music in Romania on the 25th. Whether that happens, we'll see. But I would take him at face value at this point. People keep asking me about like my stand on the Tates. Again, I will repeat, I'm Tate agnostic, and I think anybody else should be at this point too. Let's see what happens. Like withhold judgment. Like, is that not what we're supposed to do? If we're going to exercise our critical thinking skills, then we need to be able to sort of step away from this and watch where the cards fall out before we start making a judgment. I did a few videos about this when they first got arrested, like 2-3 years ago. I've since taken those down. I've taken down pretty much, with the exception of one, I have taken down pretty much every Tate video that I have ever done. So the ones where you see me with Tate in 2017, I've known Andrew Tate longer than anybody that is currently talking about Andrew Tate right now. There's a handful of us from the old 21 convention who that's when Tate decided he wanted to get into the red pill space. And I was one of the first people to, in fact, I think I was the first person to interview him. So I've known him for quite some time. And I'll tell you, even as my experience with the Tates is again, I'm just Tate agnostic at this point. It's like, do I want them to go to jail? No, I don't. If they're innocent, then they shouldn't go to jail. If they're not, then they're going to have to face the music. Right. So why isn't that the case for everything? That's what I want to know. You know what it is? It's because people want to say, I always knew it. Like when it happens, whether they go to jail or they don't go to jail, everybody wants to say, oh, I knew it all the time. I knew they were innocent from the beginning. I knew they were guilty from the beginning. That's people want to be on the quote unquote right side of history more than anything else. And so that's why they side one way or the other. Immediately. And then, of course, if they were wrong, then they shut up and they move on to the next thing. Nobody really cares. In fact, I will tell you this: whenever everything's said and done, no one's going to care. Same thing. It's the Mike Sartain rule for life. No one cares. Eventually, no one cares. Like what was it? O.J. Simpson. No one cares. No one cares. He goes down. Well, he's dead now, but like he'd go down to Jing out here. And he would be partying with women who looked exactly like Nicole Brown Simpson. Nobody cares. No one cared. With Donald Trump. Donald Trump was nailing Stormy Daniels while his wife was pregnant. No one cares. What's that? What's a Wolf of Wall Street? Basically tried to like force an abortion by punching his pregnant wife. Selling courses, still doing his thing. He's out of jail. He's on it. Bernie Madoff. No one cares. No one cares. No one cares. They move on to the next thing. That's just sorry. The internet never forgets, but people have very short attention spans. Just keep that in mind. Yes, I have known. Yes, to answer your question, I have known the Tates longer than Myron has. Myron was working with the DEA or ICE or wherever he was when I was doing those interviews with the Tates back in the fall of 2017. So yeah, what's funny is like I love it when people like pick up the videos and by the way, they're completely out of context clips from my earliest interviews of Andrew and Tristan, by the way, Tate. And they'll pull them out there and go, oh, see, Rollo was in cahoots with them. He knew all along. That was my first fucking experience with these guys. And here's how you know, because like the studio I was in was my studio from Gardnerville, Nevada, right? And that's when I first got started with Pat Campbell was in that studio. That's how early those videos are. And I was just starting to grow my hair, so you could see it just like sort of like curling and peeking up out from under my beanie. And I'm like, this wasn't a half an hour ago, guys. This was like 7 fucking years ago. But yeah, that's I've known, I've had experience and talked to the Tates since then. I kind of became a little bit more standoffish with the Tates right around 2020. There's a few other things that happened. Maybe one day I'll talk about them a little bit. It's nothing. It wasn't even a personal thing. It was more of a professional thing. But I have Tate's text right now. I could text them right now. But again, I am just sort of waiting and seeing. I think it's a little bit suspect. I think it's a little weird. Let's just say that they come to Florida and they haven't done Byron and Fresh's show yet.
Yeah.
Like, why? He did Patrick Bet David's show right fresh off the plane. Has he done anything else? Did he do any other ones in Florida when he was in Miami? He almost immediately goes to Valuetainment. And then comes to Vegas, does Jake Shields' show, does the twins, the Hodge twins.
Yep.
Wasn't answering our calls, didn't want to, and Mike had to like go out. Mike took one picture with them, and he's all smiles, and these guys are just like.
He did the Full Send podcast.
Yeah. Oh, what else? Full Send. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He did
the Milk.
Yeah, and he did what's his name? What's his name? The Full Send. Full Send is who's the host on that?
I think it's Kyle.
Yeah. So he did that. He also did what's the other kid's name that's here? I did his show. God damn it! Why am I blocking on his name? Anyways, he did shows here. He didn't do all. He wouldn't come on with us. And I don't know if that's because he didn't want to or whatever, but like I said, I've just been Tate agnostic. I know enough about the facts. I know enough about the case. And again, I'm just like sitting and waiting. And I don't see why that's a problem. And I don't see why anybody else wouldn't be doing exactly the same thing. Right. So.
Oh, Aiden Ross.
As Aiden, but the other guy, he's here in Vegas. I'll figure it out. Anyways, so getting back to it, like so Jed kind of put her foot in it. It's like on her second show, and I was just like, you might want to wait a little bit, give it a little bit more time.
Sean Kelly,
yeah, Sean. I've been on with Sean Kelly. He goes on with Sean Kelly. Okay, cool, but we're here too. I mean, it's not like I would have put him on the spot or like given him shit or anything like that. I would just love to have him in and talk to him because he's never been to Vegas. Like, as far as I know, he's never been to Vegas, right? I've never seen him in Vegas. I'm sure he's probably been here before, but like not in quite some time. And I can remember when I did the Dr. Phil show, and Dr. Phil's producers wanted Andrew Tate. They wanted him. That's the first thing they asked me. He said, "Can you talk to Tate and see if he'll come to the show?" Because it was right after he did Pierce Morgan, and the producers from Dr. Phil basically they wanted him on the show. Like they were calling me because they knew I knew him. They could give two shits about me, although they kind of played it off like they wanted me to. I already knew the answer. It wasn't going to happen. They would never set foot in the United States. The last time they set foot in the United States was December of 2021. I know because I was on Fresh and Fit with them when it happened, and they would not come back to the States. Mostly because they were trying to establish residency in Dubai at that time, 2022. And so I said, I'll ask, but I don't think he's going to say yes. I asked, he said no. And then they asked me, can you get him live via remote or Zoom or something like that? And this was right after he had converted to Islam. Well, I'm not sure how much of a conversion that is these days, but, and he wouldn't go on Zoom either. He would not have anything. He just simply did not want to go on with Dr. Phil. And so I was sort of like the understudy for Andrew Tate at that point. But I thought it was interesting that they really, really wanted him to come on the show. And essentially it was so that a guy like Imran Ahmed could like run him up the flagpole, which he tried with me. And I just told him to go pound salt. What do we got? Oh, it's a polygyny. There you go. Thanks for this, Pratik. Oh, hey, you know what? I by the way, I think you emailed me. I'm pretty sure this guy emailed me. So I was actually going to read one of your emails. Was it? He's more like Myron the Haram Muslim. There you go. You know, I tell you, I had to talk to a lot of Muslims when I was doing my fourth book. Shout out to Craig from Abu American. He was a guy. He actually is the one who gave me my Quran. I think it's interesting. Like whenever I say anything about like Sneeko, everybody wants to give me shit about. Oh, you remember that time? I'm like, fuck off, dude. The fact of the matter with Sneeko is like Sneeko really wanted to convert to Islam. He did too. It was like in the wake of Tate, converting to Islam. And I will tell you this is there was a time where Muslims would, basically kill motherfuckers for like, drawing a cartoon of Muhammad. And you're going to put up with a guy like Sneeko, like disrespecting your religion like that? Or even maybe Tate disrespecting your religion like that?
They made South Park take down their episode.
I mean, I almost feel like, because I know enough about Islam courtesy of the guys that I had to interview and I had to talk to over the years. I'm almost offended for them. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like how are you not like rebuking these guys? At the very least, have some fucking we need some harsh language here, but there's nothing. And it kind of like boggles my mind anyway. Yeah, Salman Rushdie. Exactly. Yeah. Satanic verses. Remember that? Yeah, they put out a fatwa against Salman Rushdie for a book. You're not going to go after Sneeko? I don't know. Sneeko is a fashion Muslim. Yeah. Sneeko's a lot of things. So anyways, okay, let's get back to topic here. I wanted to also talk about chivalry a little bit because I think that sort of plays into a lot of this. Actually, before we do that, I want to get into maybe this helps a little bit more because okay, here we go. I kind of want to replay this one more time. And I want to say so I'm seeing a lot of this stuff like the divorce lawyer thing.
50% of marriages end in divorce.
Because people don't select well.
Whoever said that, like we're picking wrong, how can you pick who's going to be great year 20 when you have a mental breakdown?
There are people, if you pick them, and if you're one of those people and you're not in a place to be in a relationship, I'm just going to be in a relationship and then be in a codependent relationship.
Okay, so this is bullshit. This is just straight up bullshit. This is what people say when they don't know what to say. It's like, be yourself. It's you picked wrong. Because people don't know that they don't know how. Like, well, couldn't anybody, like, especially if you're like a third party here, couldn't anybody see she's like a drug addicted, Wiccan witch, couldn't people, see this from the jump? No, you couldn't. No, you can't. You know why? Because I think a lot of people think that only like 20% of guys get married, or they're only attractive enough to like, work it up enough to get married. No, guys in the 80th percentile actually do still get married. But most of the guys who are getting married, like today, I mean, remember, it's the lowest incidence of marriage in the United States in recorded history, but nobody's picking. No one is shit. Even when people ask me like, oh, how did you vet for Mrs. Tomat? Because I've got a pretty good marriage, right? I've been married for 28 and a half years now. And we still fuck like rabbits. We still like each other. We still have fun together. Hell, I had a great time at the metal show with my wife, who never comes out with me to a metal show, right? She's great. I love it. And people go, well, how come you don't promote marriage more, Rollo? Because I see shit like this. That's why. I'm not like, I don't want people to look at my marriage and see that as like sort of proof of concept. I don't want you to get your hopes up because I have a good marriage does not necessarily mean you're going to have good. Because it's worked for me. Like, what is it? Like when they tell you, like when you're a financial advisor, like past profits do not indicate like future performance. Take that and put marriage in there instead of money in there. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. So I know it's confusing. I know it confuses a lot of guys. It certainly confuses the religious set too. Well, how come Rollo's not like really pro-marriage? I am pro-marriage. I'm pro-marriage the way we used to do it. As an institution, I think it's fantastic. As I keep telling you guys, We're better together than we are apart. We're innate, natural, evolved complements, men and women. Okay, got it. Thank you. Okay, let's move on a little bit. The way we do it now is fucked up. It's just like our education system. Should we go to college and get degrees, Rollo? Yes, you should. You should be a well-educated person who can speak on great many topics. If you have to go to college to do that, awesome. I think you should. I think college is a fucking great idea. But I hate the way we do it now. I think it's fucked up. I think we have diploma mills. I think it's far too expensive. I think a good education is its own reward. But the way we do education right now is pretty fucked up. Maybe that's going to change because we're going to get like DEI and we're going to get, intersectional liberal feminists, transism out of the colleges. Maybe that's going to, who knows? Probably not. I don't have too much optimism in that department. But is education a good concept? Is it good to be an educated? If you're an intelligent person, it behooves you to educate yourself and use your natural brain power and your IQ, right? How can you develop that? Well, you can either go to school or you can have a natural curiosity or whatever it is, right? To be an educated person is a good fucking thing. My dad was like, "What are you trying to be a smart ass?" It's better than a dumbass. That was the worst beating I ever got in my life. What, you want me to be a dumbass? Pow. Yes, trade schools, good. I agree. Learn a trade, fine, but be able to speak knowledgeably on a great many topics. Okay. There's nothing wrong with being a Renaissance man. There's nothing wrong with, in fact, hell, we can barely avoid it these days. I always, people give me that, was it a jack of all trades, master of none? Fuck you. No, jack of many trades, master of a few. Because I took it upon myself to learn the ones that I really, really liked, and the other ones I know enough about that I could talk about. Right? There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with being a well-rounded, educated person. I just don't understand this mentality about like, oh, don't go to college. Well, it's the same thing with like marriage. Yeah, okay, I get it. But when people ask me like, "Oh, Rollo, how did you vet for Miss?" Like I had some, you know what? Let's see if she checks off all these things here. Let's see, hot ass, God, likes dogs. Yeah, okay. Comes from. I didn't have a fucking list. You don't have one either. You know what your list is? Will she suck my dick? That's what your list is. Your list is she spreading her legs for me? That's what your list is. And from there, maybe there's some added value added to that. Awesome. But nobody's going, I'm going to pick her. Most men aren't. Okay, let's look at this statistically. What is the average age of first marriage for women? 30. What's the average age of first marriage for men? 32. And this is in the United States. It's actually older in Western Europe. Do you, honest to God, think that the average 32-year-old guy is going, I wonder if she'd be a good mother for my children. I wonder if no, they just are happy that their fucking ship came in and that fucking mid-7 will suck their cock. That's what that was the only criteria. Women, I've seen so many TikTok videos. I've seen so many, hell, even women at this fucking table have said, men don't vet. They're just like, when they're ready to settle down, the woman that's like next to them, that is, the most immediate one to their right, is who's going to be the wife. And it's true, because most guys don't have sexual selectivity, and they never in their entire lifetimes will ever enjoy sexual selectivity. You know who does? The top 4.5%, maybe top 10. Okay. I'm going to open it up a little bit, give you a little bit more leeway. Right? Let's just give you a little more leeway and say the top 10% of guys are the dudes that have enough selectivity to be able to pick a girl that they want to marry. And if you have that kind of selectivity, are you interested in picking one fucking girl? No, you're not. Like, I know that, like, I talked to like Justin Waller. I know Justin Waller has, for all intents and purposes, a baby mama who may as well be his wife. I love her like my wife and his wife are really good friends, right? Fantastic woman, right? But he's still Justin Waller. He still has sexual selectivity. Same thing with Mike. Mike can be with one girl, or he can be with many girls, or he'll be with one girl and then has, the girl brings, like, his old girlfriend would bring side pieces in for him, right? Same thing with Myron. You know, Myron's got one girl, but I'm sure that if there was someone else that he wanted to get with, he could get with him. Because he has that sexual selectivity. Fresh certainly has sexual selectivity. And they're getting it a little bit younger than most. But like you look at Mike. Mike's 47 now. And no, he's 46. Sorry, don't mean to age you. He's 46 right now. I'm going to be 57 soon, which means he'll be 57 this year. You know, Justin Waller, what's he, 36, 37, something like that. Sterling Cooper, good example. Sterling can settle down if he wants to, but why would he? Do you think he's going, I got this laundry list of prerequisites that I need a girl to. Those he could do that. He could. He has the means to do that. He has the attraction. He has the arousal levels. He's attractive enough as a guy that women, irrespective of him being a former porn star, and maybe because of him being a former porn star, has sexual selectivity. Most guys don't. So this whole argument here, this whole like line of reasoning about like, oh, you just need to pick better. Most guys don't pick. I love it when guys, when I get this thing about, what is it? When people say, oh, women are the gatekeepers of sex and men are the gatekeepers of commitment. Bullshit. 100% lie. Women are the gatekeepers of commitment too, because if she doesn't want to have a marriage or a commitment, she's not going to have it with you. Simple as that. You want to know why what marriage rates are in the toilet right now? Because women are actually the gatekeepers of commitment. And if anything, it has been only exacerbated in the global sexual marketplace, courtesy of social media and everything I was describing before. So are men really like opting out? Are they pulling out of the modern dating scene, or are they being forced out of the modern dating scene? This is something you don't hear tradcons like, you know, put in their little viral clips. Oh, they're just choosing wrong. No, they're not choosing wrong. If the average guy had the sexual selectivity that a guy like Justin Waller or any of these other people, they hit 35, 36, they hit in their prime and their stride, and they're suddenly having even just like a hint of sexual selectivity, like would they be getting married? Probably not, because it's a downside risk for them. But let's just say they're religious and they want to get married. Okay. Are they going to go, I've got all this list of criteria. It sounds good. It sounds like the right thing. It sounds right advice. They got to pick the right one. You didn't pick anybody. She picked you, or you just happened to be there. It happened to be you were in the right place at the right fucking time. And as I said before, most guys are in such a state of sexual deficit and unselection, no sexual selectivity, that they're happy that the chick that's sucking their dick said, yes, I'll marry you. And she's a mid who's 30, who's been ran through, right? Or maybe she's not. Maybe she's a nice, good, wholesome wallflower from the Amish Dutch country in Pennsylvania. It wouldn't make any difference because you're still not picking. It was what was available to you at the time. So I'm sick of that whole line of reasoning.
Red flags for sure.
And there are red flags. There's some basics. Without any, I mean,
of course.
The only red flag most guys are going to pick up on is drug addiction and abuse, and maybe like sexual assault in her past, or perhaps she's frigid. You know, she used to be such a slut in college. I used to be such what?
I mean, to suggest that like, oh yeah, you just throw a dart, whoever you get, you're going to water that seed and it'll all work out. That's crazy. No one would say that.
I like
that, but that's exactly what guys do. They take what's available to them at the time, especially when we look at the statistics and we say, well, men at 32 years old, you're 32 years old. Average age of first marriage, 32 years old. In 32 years, and you still haven't married anybody at that point. Like, remember, like back in like 1923, back in 1883. Is that the one that was before?
1873, 1883.
1883, right? You're looking at. Do you think those guys are like, I'm going to be selective about it? No, they're worried about getting dysentery on the fucking Oregon Trail. That's what they're doing. You know, it's ludicrous.
I think it has to be like it's who you pick, so pick careful, or it's, well, whatever you cultivate is going to turn into the thing that you're going to. No, you're not going to turn a watermelon seed into a pumpkin. But I think you do have to say to yourself, look, there's parts of this that I can do something. It's too easy to say, well, that's just how things are.
No, it's easier to say you picked wrong when you're going like this. By the way, is it Carl Lentz? This guy was a pastor at Hillsong United, and the dude was like Joe Rogan. got all up on him back in the day, like prior to his. He had an affair. He probably multiple affairs. Dude was jacked, man. I don't know if he is now, but like he used to be pretty like, he was like male model and like walking around with no shirt on and like what are the lines that they call
the fuck me lines?
The fuck me lines. That's what Rogan was saying. He's got fuck me lines, right? There's no way this guy's religious because he's walking around with fuck me lines. But so clearly he's fucking around, right? And Rogan was right and was fucking around. And apparently has put his life and his wife and marriage back together again. Oh, bravo. Okay. But you still, I love it when people like say, well, we need to rebuild the trust. No, you need to rebuild the desire. That's what you need to rebuild. She has to want to fuck you. But the only reason a guy like that goes and cheats on like his wife's not bad looking. She wasn't, I don't know if she is now, but she wasn't a bad looking woman. Yeah, she just don't want to fuck you. So what do? You get fuck me lines and you walk around on the beach tan and like wait for all the good Christian girls to come by and give you a little attention. But I think the idea, I think I'm done with that. The idea of picking, it comes back to this presumption that guys have sexual selection. Like the average dude could select the average guy, the average 80%er, right? The invisible guys, they can select. Men have the power, right? They of course, no, they don't. Especially not in a global sexual marketplace when they're fighting against the imagery or the ideal of Chad, okay? Or something that the approximation of Chad, okay? So why, if this was the case, if people were making bad decisions and picking, why wouldn't everybody be just like lining up at the fucking courthouse to get married? Why are we at 6.1% or 6.1 per 1,000 people getting married these days and dropping? Why? Well, because they're fighting against ghosts. They're fighting against like idealizations. I would argue. Now, this is me spitballing here. Do I have like a bunch of statistics to back this up? No, but I think probably logically this makes sense. 30 years old, women wait later and later and later in life. And I'm going to put Mack and Murphy's video up here in a second and just rip that one up. But they wait later and later in life. Why? Because they're getting their career together. No, they're not. They're focusing on their education. Got to get my degree. I want to get a doctorate. Yeah, damn it, I'm be 30, and then it's when I'm going to have to get married. No, women don't want to get married because women understand, I think, instinctively that between 18 and about 29 years old, and 28, let's round it off, 10 years. That 10-year window is their best time to explore their options. That's when do women have the most sexual selectivity? 23, 22, 23, 24, somewhere in there. That's when men say they look the best across the board from 15 all the way to 95. That's the age that men say, fuck yeah, 23 that's where the hotties are at. Okay. So do you not think that women on some level of consciousness would acknowledge the fact that that's their prime time that's their window of opportunity to find the right guy, to find to find Chad or the approximation of Chad, to find the guy who's the best guy, or at the very least try to lock that guy down. As Pook was saying, women would rather share a hot alpha than be saddled with the faithful beta. There's never been more true than in 2025 in the 21st century. And how do we know that? Well, the average age of first marriage is 30 years old. When do women's eggs start, drying up and blowing away? Right around that time. And it keeps going down until they're about 42, 43 years old. Does that mean you're doomed, ladies? I'm not saying you're doomed. There's fertility clinics everywhere, right? But that's, fertility starts to drop off at that point. This is a statistical, biological fucking reality. Men have way more time. We can impregnate women into our 60s. Hell, what is it? Was it Keith Richards who just? Oh, no. It was Robert De Niro.
Robert De Niro.
83, fathered a kid, which is like it's the most fucked up thing to do. Okay, I'm not just my opinion, but a pretty fucked up thing to do. But can still do it biologically. it's still a possibility, right? As long as she's hot and ready to go. Elon Musk. How old is Elon? Elon's my age, isn't he? Oh, 52.
52.
Yeah. Just saying, Uncle Elon.
53.
You got your boys have a lot of cousins. I'm just saying, or a lot of half breeds, right? Half Elons. Yeah, exactly. So when where did he go on here? So when we're looking at how marriage is like this big deal, I'm going to bring up Macken here in just a second. But when we're looking at marriage as sort of this big, do I like talking shit about marriage? People go, "Oh yeah, you do." No, I wish I didn't. I wish I didn't have to do this shit. But it's like this. It keeps coming up so consistently. And when you look at like female nature, and you look at this sort of understanding of like women's fertility windows. Like when women say, "Oh yeah, my biological clock is ticking. I better get married. I'm 30 some odd years old and my mom wants to be a grandmother," right? No, your prime fertility window is 23. That's when you should have started having children. It was much earlier. And we keep having children later and later, or women keep having children later and later in life. And again, I don't want, like, people want to we'll find like ways to sort of excuse this. Like there's social conventions that are already pre-installed, so that when women get to a certain age, they can either say, "Well, it's narcissistic men. It's men are afraid of strong women. Men are infantile." And if they're 33 years old, or if they're 35 years old and they're dating a 22-year-old, then that's age inappropriate. Who said that was age inappropriate? Not me. Aristotle said the best time to marry is for a man is 38 and the girl is 18. You take that up with Aristotle, man. What do you got? All now Elon needs is a golden throne and Belisarius skull. Yes, he needs rejuvenant. He needs the blood of young children to keep him fresh and keep him going. Don't you know that, like, was it they were doing like blood transfusions for like older, like wealthy people from like 12-year-old kids and shit like that? Yeah. Does that work?
I'm not sure.
I wonder if that works. You don't want my blood. My blood has too much testosterone in it right now. I remember when I was like, when I'm in my younger days, when I was drinking and I was doing other illicit substances, I'm like, I can never give blood. I wouldn't want people to get high as soon as they get a blood transfusion from me. So, so let's go grab this one real quick, because this is sort of dovetails very nicely into what we're going to do. Oh, here he is. My good friend. I'll save it for after the video.
It has been consistently dropping. We're the least divorced generation since the 1970s.
Wow.
You're also the least married generation since the 1970s. You're also the least drinking, partying, going out and doing things generation since the 70s. You're also in the generation that has the least amount of sex certainly over the last 4 generations of any of those generations. So is it any shock that the marriage rate is as low as it is, and the divorce rate in turn would also be low?
I do believe that is happening.
People are dating longer and marrying at a later age. We know at the individual level that both of those things are associated with a lower risk of divorce. And so at the
a lower risk of divorce, or how about the law of averages, Macken?
Population level, it could stand to reason that the reason we're seeing divorce declining is because the people who do marry get married later and do so after more years of dating. Again, both of which are associated with positive outcomes.
Positive outcomes. Well, can we at the very least acknowledge the fact that marriage is at an all-time low? And that as a result, maybe statistically, through the law of averages, perhaps divorce would, I don't know, follow that. If there's fewer marriages, there's fewer divorces. I think what these guys are trying to do is a lot of these dudes, Macken in particular, Macken here, but like Macken's just sort of like logging in with this more like a guy like Matt Walsh. There was a time when Matt Walsh went on, I think he was there with Jeremy Boring. He was, Candace Owens was on the show too. And they're sitting around with bourbons and cigars that they didn't even light, you know. What are you dipping the tip in the bourbon? And then, you know, it's basically their opportunity for, Andrew Clavin was there, and Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Michael Knowles, Candace was on the one I'm thinking of just before she got fired. Andrew Clavin, all sitting around, you know, like it's like the old boy, like they're sitting in like some like Augusta, you know, like after, you know, 18 rounds or some shit like that. And talking about like, you know, the marriage rate is it's not 50, or the divorce rate's not 50%. It's 40 some odd percent. It was still not good, right? But then Jim Sexton goes on with Matt Walsh and just schools his dumb ass on the statistics. No, it's more like 50 to somewhere like 52 or 56, I think is what it is. And again, that also depends on whether it's is it the raw numbers? Is it the refined divorces? Is it first marriages, second marriages, third marriages? Like, are we making an aggregate of those things, right? Those are things that people who want to promote the idea of, well, the reason why society is declining into moral degeneracy is because people aren't getting married. Why is the fertility rate so low? Because people aren't getting married. Why are the tariffs out there? Because of Trump. You know what? It's because people aren't married. Right? Why did China attack us in the North Sea or whatever? Because people aren't married. Like, it doesn't matter. Everything comes back to this. If people just got more marriages, then we wouldn't be in this fix. It's like bullshit. It's bullshit. Okay. Marriage is not going to save the West. How do we increase the fertility rate? Start fucking. Start fucking. That's how you increase the fertility rate. Start fucking. I don't hear too many sermons about that. Hey, you know what, guys? Come in here. Ladies, start fucking your man. We need more babies in here. we need more tithe checks in here. Like, it's simple. It's not fucking rocket science, man. No, it's when we need to get married. And you presume that there's going to be a lot of babies after that. Or how do we know that? Well, because when what's her face? When Ashley St. Clair got knocked up by Elon Musk, what was the first thing that came out of these asshats' mouths? Well, let's at least acknowledge the fact that she decided to keep the baby. Of course she's keeping the baby. Of course she's keeping the richest man in the world's baby alive. Of course she is. But that's the focus, right? And I know I've made that joke a million times, but that's the focus. That's the first impetus. That's the first, that's the go-to. Well, at least I kept the baby. Pro-life, yay. Fertility rate up. Well, that's the case. Then the guy who fathered 1,000 kids ought to be your fucking hero, right? No, it's that it still has to lock in with the ideology. And the same thing that goes for I look at guys like Alex from Date Psych or Mac and Murphy God, I really wish I remembered the other two guys that I've been talking to lately. These dudes is like their grift is to say, guys, it's those red pill guys. It's not as bad as those guys make it seem. All we're doing is just giving statistics that they use themselves, right? From sources that they use themselves. I love it when they come up with their own stats and they go, well, see, our stats, our research shows that the Pew Research data is incorrect. The Pew data is incorrect and not yours. The poll you did on Twitter is incorrect amongst your 10,000, 20,000 people who follow you, right? Instead of the millions of people who participated in the Pew Research or the GSS studies. I love it. Whenever the GSS study, they accuse us of the same thing. They say, well, they just cherry pick all this stuff from the GSS, the General Survey, Statistics Survey, I forget what it is. The GSS studies. Well, okay, what else is there? Well, our research. I'm like, your research, right? But then if it agrees, if Pew Research agrees with them, or whatever their ideological or their explicit bias happens to be, they're more than happy to use those numbers. They're more than happy to use the IFS numbers, which is International Family Studies. Now, IFS will actually source things like the GSS, so they're not like completely bad. But I was going to say they also definitely have an implicit bias, which is really more like Protestant Christian values. That's what the IFS is all about. I've used them before too, so I'm not going to say I'm not guilty of using the IFS numbers. But like the thing is like I also have to take it with a grain of salt because I already know where the sort of implicit bias of those numbers is coming from. Because it's one thing to get statistics. It's another thing to interpret those statistics. And so what happens is you got like guys like this who are, want to straw man what the quote unquote red pill is, and then they knock it down with their research or whatever thing that they can find that sort of confounds what they think they're talking about. Like I've had to get into it with Alex about like the Alpha Widow, the Alpha Widow thing. He knows nothing about the concept because he simply doesn't take the time to even read or learn or know anything about it. He just like makes presumptions, makes a straw man out of it, and then finds something to knock it down with. But that's the grift. And that's why you get like this sort of pro-marriage. Oh, hey, divorce isn't as bad as it seems. These red pill guys make it seem. No, it actually is probably worse than what you're putting out there. But the idea is to sort of lock in with, well, first of all, women are wonderful. That's number one. And the other thing is to sort of find some way to sort of, again, make a straw man out of the red pill and then knock it down. That's all it basically amounts to.
Other possibility is that we see the marriage rate is also declining. It's plausible that many of the people who would have gotten married and divorced back in the day now just don't get married at all.
Yeah. Like, why isn't that like the first thing out of your fucking mouth? Why isn't that the first, like Occam's razor? Anybody? I mean, why isn't that the first thing that you would go to? Why wouldn't that be the first? I don't know. I might be wrong. So, like, when you look at these guys, they're basically white knights. They're white knighting with statistics from IFS. They're white knighting with their own research. And I think it's almost like a game. Like, oh, let's go and find out some principle and let's see if we can find some stats, and we'll make that principle, or we'll make that observation that those red pill guys have made for so long, and we'll find some way to find one counter study, and then we'll just like debunk it. And the way that they go about doing this, I don't know if I've said this on this show yet. It's a method called data laundering. Okay, now I know that there is another mathematical algorithmic way of like laundering data. This is not what I'm talking about. What happens is you get these guys who throw out they'll create their own research, or they'll find like our research shows X, Y, and Z. The same thing happened with the incel research from William Costello and the rest of these guys. Shoddy, was it snowball sampling? They only do surveys, and they only do research from incel.co. Like, that's your only resource for incels. And the reason for this is because the government funded research that they were doing was meant to find one thing: that incels are a threat. Incels are terrorists, literally are terror. We need to put them on a DHS watch list, and we need to put those guys who we think are radicalizing them on the list too, aka. So what happens is you get bad data, you get bad research, you get bad data from that research, and then what happens is you take that research and you make sure Joe Rogan reads it, or you make sure that Chris Williamson reads it, who is already on board with you anyways, right? You go and you do your own fucking research, and then suddenly somebody from Brian from whatever podcast reads it. You make sure that you get it out there so that it becomes canon, so that it becomes common knowledge, it becomes quote unquote settled science. And yes, I know scientists don't use the term settled science, but that doesn't make any difference to the people who are hearing it over and over again. So what happens is you take that bad data and you launder it. How do you launder it? By making sure that bigger influencer accounts keep repeating it. That's why. And there's never any question. And and this is true of like pretty much any kind of news, even if there's a retraction, even if there is, we found out that it's completely wrong. The people who read the original bad, fake news, who read the bad data, will retain the bad data more than they'll ever retain or even view the retraction of it. So, for instance, when, and this is just good journalism, if a journalist makes a false statement, doesn't know that it's a false statement, and says, Trump cheated on his wife with a chimpanzee. Oh my God, I can't believe this. Da, 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 da. Oh, sorry, no, that's false. That's fake. The original story about Trump cheating on his wife with a chimpanzee, that's what people will remember. There will be millions of people that will go viral. Millions of people will remember that. You put the retraction out, 16,000 people saw it and remember it. Yep. That's how data laundering works. That's what these motherfuckers are doing, and will continue to do, because it sounds like it's a grift. We're going to make a straw man out of the red pill. Those red pill guys. We're going to find a few, do some bad data methodology. We're going to throw it out there as if it's like something that was done by the APA or Pew Research or some, accredited research survey team, even though it was our, Twitter poll. We're going to make it look official with little dot points and hope that, like, most people don't even know how to read, like, what the don't even understand, like, the difference between P at 1 or P at 0. They don't understand that stuff. They just listen to what they hear. And even if they put out a retraction, people will still think the original data is true. That's what they're hoping for, and that's how you get into dangerous waters. That's how you get the DHS deeming incels as freaking terrorists. That's how you get the Netflix special that is supposed to be coming out, I want to say in April. Maybe it's already out now. Anyways, it's about this kid who is supposedly influenced to encourage some girl to commit, to self-delete, as a result of him being, like, influenced by Andrew Tate or the red pill or the manosphere or toxic masculinity or whatever else. And those incels are terrorists. What I think is interesting is, like, the last mass shooting that took place was done by a young woman influenced by a militant feminist. We don't talk about that. That never makes the headlines. We're still talking about Elliot Rodger from May of 2014. You know how I know the month? Because I wrote an essay about exactly what had happened during that time. I was fucking there. Those red pill guys are just fucking insane. Who knows? I keep making this point too, is that, in the time, by the way, that was it's actually 11 years ago. It'll be 11 years ago in May that Elliot Rodgers went on his rampage through and killed more men than women, by the way, of Santa Barbara, right? UC Santa Barbara. That's how we got Chad and Stacy, right? That's where we got that from, was from his manifesto. And people thought, oh my God, these guys are terrorists. Well, that was, like I said, 11 years ago. In that time, there's probably been 4 more incidents. There was, like, George Sidoni. There was Alex Manassian. I don't know who. I know there's probably, like, 1 or 2 more. So in 11 years, 4 incidences have happened that you could probably say they were part of, like, sort of like the incel crazies, right? So in that time, we've had 4, maybe. But just last year, we had 79 incidences of teachers statutorily raping their students. I'm still waiting for a response from Mack and Murphy. I'm still waiting for a response from Alex from Dace. I'm still waiting for this ivory tower gatekeepers of evolutionary psychology to explain to me why it is that we have this epidemic of female teachers, all following a very, very similar demographic, and all have the same physiognomy on top of everything else, and all, recently married, all young girl. Where's the research in this, Will Costello? Where's the insight into all of this? Nowhere, because you know what? The government's not paying you to look into that. That's why. I did. I tracked every single one of those. That's how I know it was 79 at the end. And right now we're up to number 16 for this year. From January to, what's today? Today's March 16th. 16 incidences have happened in this year where it's been a female teacher and a male student that is, and by the way, yes, it does qualify as statutory rape, because the boy cannot give consent in the situation that they were in. Now, some people will want to bend the rules. Well, it was in the UK, so it's 17. Okay, fine. But the fact of the matter is, had it been a male student or a male teacher and a female student, you would definitely have a much different opinion about it. So when you look at women who are having female teachers having sex with underage male students, we don't call it rape. We call it statutory is really what it is, because that kid cannot give consent to the adult who should be the one who is making the adult decisions, right? He can't give consent. That is literally the legal definition of EPAR, rape. Let's see, forced copulation. How's that? Maybe we could use just that. That sounds better. Forced copulation. Yes. That's what it will. And by the way, if it had been a male teacher and a female student, that guy would already be in jail, would already be in prison, would already have the book thrown at him, would probably be dead, in jail, in prison right now. So where's the insight and the inquiry into that? That seems like a much more pressing epidemic than incels losing it and going off. Where? How come those teachers aren't on a DHS watch list? why didn't they think of that? I don't understand. All right, let's see. Where else do we go? So we've already moved past that. Let's. I did talk about Filipina Pea. Okay. Last one here. I've got. I'm going to talk about something a little bit here that I've been sort of. This is just an aside. Before I'm going to get on to chivalry here in a minute, because I think that plays into another reason why a lot of guys are pulling out of modern dating. People, what do you mean chivalry? Well, I've written quite a bit about chivalry. And I am getting to the point right now where I'm sick to fucking death of listening to women talk about, well, men need to be taught chivalry. You don't even know what it is. Remember how I said you don't read books? You don't know what fucking chivalry is either. Okay. But before I get into that, I do need to, we're at the top of the hour. So there is one sort of side note I wanted to discuss. And I've been sort of, really for the last 2 weeks, I've been kind of wondering whether or not I should do this part or talk about this, but I think I'm going to, because I'm tired of pretending it's not a thing. We had Myron in here on a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and kicked a lot of the girls off. And one of the things I think that a lot of people don't understand about Access Vegas versus Fresh and Fit is that Mike and I have sort of a charter here where our intent with the show is to do something different, not to kick. We don't have an express mandate to kick girls off the show. Now, we have had in the past, we've been going for almost 3 years now. We have had in the past girls who have walked off the show on their own, because they were offended or they didn't like the conversation, whatever. Probably maybe a handful, maybe two, I think, that I can recall. If they get up and walk on their own, and nothing we can really do about that. But our express purpose of Access Vegas is not to kick the girls off the show. And I think a lot of people make that mistake when we have Myron and Fresh on here, who obviously that is a big deal with Fresh and Fit. Same thing with Brian from whatever podcast he follows. Maybe he doesn't kick them off as often as Fresh and Fit, but that's definitely part of the mandate. Now, we don't have staff. 9 times out of 10, it's just me, Mike, and Travis here, and maybe Nico is in the back with some booze like that. He's here to get us our drinks, right? And we don't have people to walk girls off the show. We don't have security. We've never needed security. We don't have people to say, hey, come with me. In fact, I felt pretty lucky that we did that one night, because I had Jake Cope here, who is my drummer in Jinx. And he happened to be here, and I texted him. I said, "Can you walk this girl off?" And we did. Now, that was one of 3 girls or 4 girls that got kicked that night. And I'm not going to say that 1 or 2 of them didn't deserve it. When you get confrontational and you get and you're 3 White Claws in, yeah, I get it, right? Usually on our show on Access Vegas, that leads to a lot of crosstalk, and we have to sort of like shut the girls up. And I feel like I need like a referee's whistle or something like that to interrupt. In fact, I might even do that.
A judge's gavel.
Yeah, boom, boom, boom.
Judge gavel.
Yeah, exactly. I need something to sort of break the crosstalk up, because that's the number one problem we have with the show, is because we don't kick girls off the show. We tend to get a lot of overspeak, and that's when I'll go. Like that, to get them to shut up, right? But then we have other girls on who, quite honestly, I don't think that Lindsay deserved what she got. I don't think she should have been kicked off the show. And I think that probably on some level of consciousness, Myron probably knew that she was coming to a point and cut her off and basically kicked her off the show. Now, she was not drunk. Made an effort to come down to the show to have a discussion, have a substantive, constructive discussion, and probably would have had a great one, but Myron wasn't having any of it at that point. And I'm getting to the point right now where I'm thinking that a lot of what these shows have become, not just Fresh and Fit, but also whatever podcast, have really turned into what I would define as a humiliation ritual. And I mean it and I know that's a trendy kind of thing right now. Oh, this is a humiliation ritual. I think so in the sense that the express purpose is to kick the girls off the show. Like, that's why the audience is there. People go see NASCAR not to see the fucking winner, not to see who gets the checkered flag. They go to see who crashes and burns. And I think that a lot of what has sort of developed into these shows right now, and maybe even including our own, I don't know, but I think a lot of it comes down to this sort of living vicariously through the hosts, saying things to women that they could never say themselves. And as soon as I remember, what was it, just recently, like Myron and Fresh kicked off the entire panel. Like, there's no girls left. It was just Myron and Fresh were left. And you know what? The show just was boring. There's nothing to talk about because all the girls are gone. And, that might translate into a lot of super chats. That might translate into a lot of viral clips. But what does it do? It doesn't hold women accountable. Do you think these women have been held accountable? I was talking to Rachel Wilson, who's Andrew Wilson's wife, and I've mentioned that I'm not interested in humiliation rituals. I'm not interested in like having the express purpose of the show be to kick girls off. Because I want to do something different with Access Vegas. I want to have substantive conversations. Sometimes that's difficult to do. It is like when girls are like 3 White Claws in, you're going to get kicked off the show. I remember going on Fresh and Fit back in the early days, and it's like I always knew like the girls who were going to get kicked off because they were already like pre-boozing before they got to the show. Yeah, you're done. I'm not sitting by this one. I'll just let that one happen because I knew it was going to happen. But I'm getting a little bit tired of the formula. It's formulaic now, and it's boring as fuck. And I'm tired of pretending it's not boring. I'm tired of pretending that like the only people who are watching this are like autistic boys who want to see comeuppance. They want to see girls get schooled. They want to hold them accountable. Nobody's holding them accountable. How do you hold a person accountable if you kick them off the show? Right? Oh, well, they did. Well, they got kicked off the show. Therefore, they're held accountable. No. Do you think they learned anything? Do you think they're going to go home and, you know what? I think I'm going to go home and change my life. I think I'm going to go home and rethink. It's like a Jedi mind trick. I'm going to go home and rethink my life. Yeah, exactly. These are not the hoes you're looking for. So it's just, it does. It gets old. And honestly, like this, as soon as this show is done, I usually get done about 4:00. Let me stop lying. About 4:30. And then I'm on my drive home, and sometimes I'll put on. I know that at 5:00 on Sundays, I'm going to give them a plug. Sorry, but whatever podcast does a show, and thank you, Brian, for doing it after my show instead of like stepping on my time slot. But I know it's gonna, and I'll watch, and I can watch from the time I leave the parking lot here at Red One and then go home. Maybe 20 minutes, right? And I'm watching this, and it's the same shit over and over and over and over again. And it's just has become a humiliation ritual. It's just become something like the girls go on, and the girls, by the way, girls are complicit in this too, right? They go on knowing what's going to happen. Like, what is it? It's a, whatever podcast. And somebody asked me to do a breakdown of the most recent debate between Andrew Wilson and this feminist chick that was just on. It would just happen like a day or two ago. Like, oh, she's against everything that you stand for, Rollo, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll check it out. 7.5 hours. like that. Bravo, man. I mean, Andrew Wilson, man, fucking putting in that work, man. Overtime hours. That's like double time fucking hours in podcast sense, man. I hope you got paid like for fucking combat pay, because that's, I don't know if I could go 7 hours with that shit, And maybe it was a good conversation, but I'm not going to sit there. I'm not going to that's like a day's work, man. I got to eat sometime. I got to hit the gym, man. I need my protein at certain times these days. So, but he probably did. Yeah. Did he get paid? He got paid. Yeah. I'm sure he did. Same thing with the girls that go on there. Like, you'll notice that like Brian's shows have gotten longer and longer. Like, I've seen 10-hour shows. Like, who the fuck has time for a 10-hour? Like, especially if it's like rewatch value, 10 hours has no rewatch value. It might have a lot of good clips in it. And I hope maybe that's the reason why he does. Obviously he's farming super chats. I understand the business of it, but the girls, it's like a full-time job. 10 hours? That's 2 hours of overtime. I need time and a half after that, man. But they'll sit there and they'll still participate. And this is actually the conversation I have with Rachel, is like, they'll still participate. I'm like, yeah, they will, because 10 hours of them promoting their OnlyFans. If they walk out of there and they've got 500 new subs, I'm not saying that's probably high, but like, even, I don't know what their subscription rate is, but if they go home after that long ass slog through whatever podcast, and they've got an extra 100, and maybe that translates into $1,000, an extra $1,000, a grand a month. I don't know what it was. Maybe even 10 grand a month. Depends on what you're earning. And I remember, Mike knew this chick that was on Fresh and Fit, and she was definitely on OnlyFans. And I think she charged like $50. Her subscription is $50 a month. And she went home with like close to 1,000 new subscribers after going on Fresh and Fit. Was that $50,000? Holy shit, man. I mean, that's a lot of fucking money. But those are for like the top level earners and stuff, but still. What's this? Just bring out a home math chart at that point. Yeah. and then wait. Home math needs to stick to home math. I like the guy when he's talking, he's talking intersexual dynamics, but like, dude, politics, stay in your lane, bro. I'll stay in mine too, by the way. But no, I'm just wanted to point this out, because I think a lot of people think that like they look at me and Mike and we look like limp dicks, like not kicking girls off, because boy, on Fresh and Fit, they would have been just ushered off and thrown out the door. Like they would have thrown her off the side of the fucking balcony. Right. And it's like, that's not what we're about. And if that's what you're here for, then you need to unsub, because that's not what we do. The whole point of Access Vegas is to have substantive, constructive conversations. And do I hope that there's going to be some sort of solution as a result of that? No, I don't. But I think that it's probably a better way to go about things than to just have a chat full of young men who have nothing better to do, or just simply want to see women, crash and burn. That's not holding women accountable. Holding women accountable would mean that they would actually go home and change something about themselves, that they would have some sort of change of heart. That they would go, you know what, I'm not living right, I'm going to do something different, right? Or they would have some sort of insight, whether it's forced or it's like natural, organic, wouldn't matter. But to me, right now, it's become a humiliation ritual. And I'm trying to be as diplomatic as I can about this, because I could be a lot more hostile about this. But are the girls on the show our friends? Most of them, not all of them. That one girl, Miranda, that was the first night I ever met her. And she was, the one that Jake escorted off. Stunningly beautiful woman, put through 2 drinks in her and she's a different person. Right. And as soon as she said, as soon as she wouldn't give Myron her age, I'm like, oh, it's over. She's out. That's exactly how it worked out with Toy Hardy that one time. I don't have to tell you my age. Yes, you kind of do. It's my show. Blah blah blah. Well, okay. The other thing is this is and I know that Brian is having this problem and Myron is having this problem as well. Is that booking girls for those shows is becoming increasingly more and more difficult. It's not hard for us. I'm proud to say it's not tough for Access Vegas for us to get girls because a lot of the girls are our friends, right? I have a very small list. I have the Rollo Tomasi list of Vegas girls that I've sort of collected over like a year and a half. Mike has a huge list because that's what Mike does. We go to Babes in Toyland. We do charities. These girls like us. They like to have conversations with us. In fact, they'll come up to us and get in our grill sometimes because they disagreed with what we said. And I'm happy to have that conversation. I'm happy to fucking get into it with them and explain to them why they're wrong. But I'm not going to get hostile about it. I'm not going to say, get out of my face. Fuck you. That does nothing. There's no educational value to that. There's nothing that goes along with that. And I understand that a lot of these, especially these shows, are very, very entertainment based. But when you get to the point where you can't book girls or they flake all the time, even I think it was Brian was just saying he was going to, I don't know if he's done this yet, but he said he was going to pare his shows down to one night a week because getting the girls to commit to the show is becoming increasingly more and more difficult. Now he has to do it sort of organically. Like Mike and I don't have to because we already have a list. And we have a lot of I think one of the best things about Access Vegas is that because we're cool with the girls suggest the show to other girls, and therefore we don't have problems booking girls for Access Vegas. So we get a new set of opinions, a new brain, a new set of tits, whatever. We get that quite often. They source themselves sometimes. Like I remember in summer of last year, they were sourcing themselves. It was getting to the point where we had to like turn girls down because we didn't have enough seats at the fucking table. So when I see Myron and Fresh having a tough time like booking girls because they flake and Brian doing the same, that's because those girls expect that you're going to just sit there, humiliate them and kick them off the show. Or that's the point of the show. Not that you would necessarily have to do that, but they know what they're getting into when they go in. So yeah, a humiliation ritual requires two active participants, the one being humiliated and the humiliator, right? But that's really all it boils down to. And I don't think anything constructive comes from that. And so when people gave me shit or they wanted to know why I said what I said when I was on the panel show with the Avengers panel show with Donovan Sharp and the rest of the guys. And I said, the first thing I said, I'm happy to be a part of this group or happy to be a part of anything you guys want to put together. But I told you, we have to be about it. It can't be just business. It can't just be like, oh, I'm doing it because my chat wants it to be this way. I'm saying what I'm saying because the chat expects it. And if I don't say what they expect, then I'm not getting any super chats and I'm fucked. Well, you're fucked anyways. It's not that much money. YouTube hates this fucking material as it is. I am still blacklisted. I am still shadow banned. I am still on whatever the block list is or whatever the redirect list is. I'm hoping that's going to change soon, but I don't know how that's going to work out. I know that there's a lot of movement behind the scenes about that right now. But until it happens, I'm still shadow banned. I have people, and let me know if you can do this or not. I have people in my chat who have told me I can chat, no problem. I can't super chat. And I'm monetized. You can give me a super chat right now. I mean, I've got, which ones I got here? I got this dude right here. It's like, so you can still clearly super chat. But I have people who are like longtime watchers of my show who can't super chat. They can throw out a regular chat, but the system or the algorithm won't allow them to super chat. And I don't know why that is. But Rollo, what's your take on women only want you when you don't want them? I can see the truth in that concept and a form of stoicism cope at the same time. Stoicism today is really more cope than anything else. I'll back that up here in just a second. So I would agree with that side of it. No, the thing is when you become disinterested in a woman, it kind of depends on what your prior history is with that chick. Like if you were an orbiter and you stopped being an orbiter, then it's almost like it's a behaviorism 101. Okay. So what happens is when a woman is used to, when an animal is used to intermittent or regular positive reinforcement, like when the rat hits the lever and the pellet drops out all the time, or maybe, hits it 3 times and it pops out, whatever. When a woman is used to that positive reinforcement from her beta orbiters and then suddenly it stops, that's when women will revert to, animals will revert to what's called an extinction burst, meaning they will try novel behaviors to reestablish that positive reinforcement again. So, for instance, if the rat hits the lever and nothing comes out, then the rat will run around the cage 3 times and then hit the lever, right? Or the rat will do a backflip, right, and hit the lever. It'll do something because it's trying to figure out what's the protocol, what's the procedure that I got to do to reestablish the positive reinforcement, right? So it's similar to when women, like, when you remove the positive reinforcement of your attention, when you remove the positive, like, that's why the red pill guys have been saying, well, PUAs have been saying this for forever, don't be too fucking available. And the reason for that is because and this is from a behavioral, Pavlovian, perspective, is if that woman is used to a constant positive reinforcement from you, the value of that reinforcement becomes cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, right? It's a law of power, right? Exit the scene, like remove your presence from a group every now and then so that your absence makes them appreciate what it is that you do for them. And the same thing applies to, like, don't make your attention cheapened by giving it away. So what happens is when you remove that, it's been so, like, scarcity makes the price go up, right? Commonness makes the price go down. So if your attention is easily gotten, it's worthless to a woman. But if she has some sort of appreciation for it and you pull it away, that's when she wants to reestablish that. Now, that might not mean she wants to fuck you. It just means she wants you to tell her she's pretty or give you good morning, gorgeous, like in a fucking text or some shit like that. That's really what it boils down to. Just bring out the whole math chart at that point. Okay, I already got to you. Is it okay to date your boss? I don't know. Is she hot? It's okay if she's hot. No. Are you a dude? Because if you're a dude, I always have been against dating in workplace. Workplace is not a sexualized zone, or it shouldn't be anyways. There's too much possibility for manipulation in that situation. Date your boss. If you're a chick and you're the boss, don't do it. How is a man leaving a relationship garner respect as opposed to a woman leaving a relationship? Can a man get respect for being dumped? It depends on how you're dumped, and it depends on how you walk out of that situation. Okay, are you going to walk out like a man, or are you going to walk out on your fucking knees? Gosh, I haven't answered this question in a long time. One of the things that, like, what guys have asked me is, Rollo, I know my girlfriend's going to break up with me. What should I do? I said, if you knew that your best friend was going to punch you in the face the next time you saw him, you knew 100% that was what's going to happen, would you not punch them in the face first? Like, you knew without a shadow of a doubt that guy was going to just, like, deck you as soon as, like, he sees you. Would you throw the first punch, or would you just let him, like, knock you out? You'll probably throw the first punch, right? So the thing is when a woman is going to break up with a guy, she's already mostly broke up with that guy in her head a long time ago. So, they always say that, like, women break up with a guy 6 months before they actually break up with that guy. Like, leaving that guy is just a formality. Okay? So the decision to break up with you was most likely made 6 to 4 months prior. She's just kind of trying to work up to the people say, well, she's trying to work up to getting the courage to tell you that she's going to break up with you, or she's waiting until, like, her personal trainer fucks her, right? Or something happens, like she's got, like, it's monkey branching, like the monkey doesn't go to the next branch, so it's got another one, right? So if a girl's going to break up with you and she doesn't have any other realizable options, she's probably going to stick around with you until she has that realizable option. Okay. So at that point, you have, like, you've got 2 options, because during the time that it takes to figure out whether you're the shit or you're not the shit, or she wants to break up with you or she doesn't, she's looking for a guy who's better than you. She's looking for a guy who is like, he's more masculine than you. He's got more money than you. He's got his shit together better than you. He's a better option. She's looking for a better option. You know? The fuck was that? Oh, was it? The ice maker?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry, ice maker. Anyways, the decision's already been made, but between the time where she actually breaks up with you and the time she's already decided that she wants to break up with you, she has to figure out if you're still the best she can do. And I would say this is the passive shit test, right? Is he the best I can do? Active shit test is he really who he says he is? Passive shit test is he the best I can do? Was my mom right about him? I should never have married him. You know, like is he so? If you reaffirm that for her when you break up by going, no, please don't leave me. You're my sun and moon. I love you. You're my soulmate. If you go, you're on your knees because you are the dude that no other bitch wants to get with because you're her. If you confirm with her that you're her only option, then you're fucked.
No frame.
No frame. Exactly. No dread either. Guys like that, like guys who are in a state of sexual, we were just talking about this. Guys who are in a state of sexual deficit don't have sexual selectivity. Women don't want to be with a guy that other women don't want to fuck. Because women want to feel like they're the kind of girl that can get a guy that is this high quality. Women don't want a man to cheat, but they love a man who could cheat. And if you're that guy who would never, I would never cheat on you. I love you. I would never disrespect you like that. Never let those words come out of your mouth. Never let those words come out of you. Always be the guy that other women want to fuck, that other women have some sort of, some attraction to. And never, if it ever becomes something noticeable to her, never deny it. Never apologize for it. Lean into it. I'm not saying cheat. I'm just saying lean into the dread because that is what leads to an appreciation and evaluation of you. So how does that work in a breakup situation? Well, if you're the guy who walks out on his knees, what are you doing? You're confirming to her subconscious, her ego, her id, whatever it is. You're confirming to her subconscious, her brain, that you are exactly what she said you are, exactly what she thinks you are, which is an optionless beta male guy, and she is your only option. Nobody else wants this guy. He's worthless. He has no value added. He's not that hot. The guy that I'm just now getting with is much hotter. He's got more going for him. I was right to leave him because he's a loser. Losers get on their knees. Losers show their bellies. Losers are vulnerable. Losers are apologize for their dicks. And that's if you walk out on your fucking knees, that's exactly what you're doing. That's why you say, okay, fuck it, I'm out. You made the decision. Cool. Whatever. Move on. I'll be fine. Good with you. I hope you and Chad, the Ryler. I hope you and Ryler, you the bartender, Ryler the or Brock the bartender, and Ryler the personal trainer. Hope you guys have hope you make beautiful babies. Bye. Out. Late. Whatever. Do whatever you got to do. Eject. Next. Because you walk out on your feet at the very least. And what happens is this is when you do that, you leave her with a seeded doubt. And the doubt is, maybe he is the kind of guy that other women want to fuck. Even if it's just a question. Even if it's like, okay, fuck it, I'm out. I know I got options. I know whether fuck, Jennifer and down on floor number 2 wants to suck my dick. So maybe I'll go see her for a little while. Bye. Get out of my fucking house. Whatever it is, walk out on your feet. Don't go fucking on your knees. Your dad should have fucking taught you that, man. What's wrong with you? An alpha would walk away on fresh and fit and sit somewhere else. Insulting women isn't good game. Fighting with them, you just end up going in circles. This isn't what you taught us. This isn't the red pill. Well, thank you. I appreciate, dude. You know what? You get this. Thank you for that. I'm glad somebody gets it because I'm sick to death, honestly, of like listening to people go, oh man, you and Mike are so weak. You'll never kick those girls off the show. Yeah, you're right. That's not what the fucking show's about. And if you want that, then go watch Fresh and Fit. If you want that, go watch whatever podcast. If you get off on watching girls being humiliated, because it's not holding them accountable. It's maybe in the first, maybe in the beginning, maybe in the first 2 years, that was the impetus is why we're going to hold these girls accountable, and that's going to work. Now it's become so formulaic and such a fucking template right now that it's expected. That's a humiliation ritual. We've gone past the accountability. I don't think it was ever accountability to begin with, but I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt here. That's not accountability anymore. You can't hold a woman accountable if she's not sitting at the table. It's not hard to figure out, right? But I'm a little bit. I'm tired of pretending it's not. I hate to go Joker on you, but I'm tired of fucking pretending that it's not. And it's getting to the point where it's old and it's fucking boring. Like I know, if you're new to it, it's probably, oh, this is great. Yeah, I wish I could say that to that bitch. Fuck her, which is funny to me because why am I bringing this up? Because it dovetails again into the reason men are pulling out of modern dating. Well, if you don't have if you're indifferent, if you're MGTOW, you're black pill, you don't even have to be, right? You just be an average Rumble chat watcher on Rumble, and you're there for the festivities, which is we're going to take these girls and run them up the flagpole. If that's you're part of the fucking problem now. And if that's you, that's probably another thing that's keeping you out of modern dating. It's probably very self-satisfying and very ego-satisfying, especially when it's like that cringe, right? It's like that moment where it's like, I wouldn't want to be there and that, it's like that, like you get those little tickles and the fucking butterflies in your stomach. You know what I mean? Right? Oh, is Rollo going to walk that bitch off the show? No, I'm not. Because it's not my show. It's the Fresh and Fit show. It's not Access Vegas at that point. In fact, Myron and Fresh are very, very specific about that when they come on the show. We run things a little bit different. He'll say it in the very beginning of the show. We run things different than Mike and Rollo are pretty easy on you guys, but we run things different. They basically spell it out right then and there. They spell out the formula for you right there. And granted, the girls have to agree to that and they have to be part of it. So it is what it is. That's not our show. It ceases to become Access Vegas, and it's now the Fresh and Fit show. So that's what you're watching. You want us to walk the girls off? No, it's your show. Where's your staff to fucking walk them off? Nowhere. We're paying Travis $600 to do our fucking production for it. I just happen to have Jake Cope, who, by the way, I also paid that night too. We have people that we have like our kind of like a by needed basis for for things, but that's how it works. And we don't have that. You want to kick the girls off, you're going to need to bring people security. You need Chris Pogson to come in here and run them off the show. But I'm tired of pretending it's not a humiliation ritual because that's what it's devolved into. There's nothing productive, nothing substantive, nothing constructive comes out of it. People keep saying this, and I'm sick to fucking death of this, and I'm trying to fucking change this perception. If I have a mission statement for 2025, it's this. It's like, I want to do something that's more constructive. You want to know why I'm doing Reignite? Oh, you're right. You make more money. Well, I would like to make more money, but it's because I want to help guys like right in the real world, boots on the ground, face to face, fucking where the rubber meets the road. Let me find some other euphemism, right? Because I'm sick to death of people saying, well, the red pill's long on rhetoric and short on fucking solutions. Okay, I give you a fucking solution. I'm saying I want to do something more constructive. And you guys go, no, you guys need to kick girls off. Fuck you. Fuck you. I'm going to do what I'm going to fucking do. And I'm going to do something that's productive and constructive. I'm going to do something that's positive. You guys these girls, they don't know any better. We need better women. I try to make better women. No, you want to fucking kick them off. That's what you want to fucking do. You don't want better women. You want more 304s. You want more ratchet hoes to kick off the fucking show. And you know what? They're drying up. The pool of ratchet hoes is not limitless. The well is run. The milk done spoiled. Yeah. Women are like children that give the toy attention value before giving it. Want them to stay, take the toy away while it still has value. Yeah, well, but see, that goes with anything. Like, women are probably more susceptible to this, but like, if the reinforcement, the positive reinforcement stops, then that's when you'll know whether or not your attention is valuable. You want to know if your attention is valuable to a chick? Stop paying attention to her. If she pursues and say, hey, I haven't talked to you in a long time, what's wrong? Yeah, then your attention is valuable. If you don't hear from that bitch forever, well, I guess it wasn't all that valuable. There was a Christian tradcon from the Blaze. Really? Blaze still around? Named Steve Dace. Okay, I know who you're talking about. Did a commentary on the show Love is Blind and said, you either submit to God or submit to her. Well, the thing is like the problem I have with most Christian tradcons, which is kind of a oxymoron, is that God has become the chick. If the chick doesn't approve of you, it means God doesn't approve of you. If you've read my 4th book, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Because in a gynocentric social order, we put women above men. Women are the conduit between men and God. That's what we've done. And I spelled this out in my 4th book in religion. We're at a point right now where, and it's funny you should say that. I put this in my notes here. We're at a point right now where we have made love. We put love, the emotion of love, above God. It's no longer God is love. It's love is God. Like love supersedes anything God might have to say. We've made the emotional state of love a new God. And as a result, who's the arbiter of that? Women. If women are the gatekeepers of sex and commitment, it must be because we don't have good enough men. Why? Because they're not doing what God wants them to do. And women know what God wants. And so therefore they must not be doing what they're supposed to be. But yeah. Steve Dace. I haven't heard that name at all. That is a name I haven't heard in a long time. I'd rather watch Fresh and Fit run game on a table of women to teach guys how to do it. Yeah, well, do they ever teach game? Has there ever been a video? Have they ever done any kind of special thing where they actually go into the clubs and talk about it? I don't even think so. Do they even know? Like, does do any of these guys know game? Like, I know Mike does, because Mike runs immersion for MOA. That's basically all he does is talk. Even formal game, even old school pickup. Like, Mike talks about that and talks, or hell, like he's got video after video about it. We get into like the nuts and bolts of what, like, if you've read my 5th book, The Player's Handbook, I get into why game works. Not here, do these things. It's the things that like Mike teaches in MOA and says, okay, here's what we're going to do. This is, you're going to get out there. You're going to go do something. It's getting guys back into dating. That's really all PUA is, especially now. Getting guys out there, getting them in front of girls, making approaches, talking, being good conversationalists. Yes, do they crash and burn? Absolutely. All the time, right? More often than not. But they're learning every time they do so. And they're putting them out there. You become more resilient to a rejection. Okay, that didn't work. What do I got to do this time? How do I reinforce that? How do I do better on the next one? Right? And it's you want to talk about a guy who's actually doing this. Mike is doing this. I'm doing this with the Reignite guys to help guys unfuck their lives and to rebuild themselves. I teach defense. Mike teaches offense. Mike takes guys out in the clubs here in Vegas, like at least once every month, right? His immersions with MOA, fantastic. Nothing but positive reviews for those. That's and Mike is fucking good at what he fucking does. And is a good dude, understands the mechanics behind it. I explain those mechanics in my 5th book, in the Player's Handbook, of course. Quite honestly, I think the Player's Handbook ought to be Mike's textbook for his classes. I should tell him that. But he's out there and they're doing it. I don't think I have ever seen. I know damn well Brian has never done anything like that. Imagine Brian going out to the like Zook and like trying to teach game to guys. I'm pretty sure I've never seen Myron or Fresh ever do anything where they're actually going out and doing infields. Now, Fresh will go out and talk to rappers and DJ academics and hang out with people and stuff like that, and talk to NBA stars and stuff like that, and hang out with, rub elbows with like famous people. But I don't think any of those guys have ever taught formal game. That's something else that sort of separates the men from the boys, man. It's like getting out there and putting yourself out there instead of like, yeah, these girls aren't worth your fucking, breathing the same airspace. That's nothing constructive about that. I have a goal to help the culture too. A main point I want to hit on is that being a victim keeps you a victim. Yeah. I don't fight my demons. I thank them for making me better. That's good. Ooh, I like that one. Yeah. Well, it's like, old school mystery method, right? You will only get what you've gotten if you keep doing what you've done. Right? You're not, if all you're doing is like, maybe that's fine. Here's the thing is, I think a lot of people think that I have like some sort of like personal problem with MGTOWs, or I have some personal problem with Black Pill Doomer guys, or quite honestly, I hope more guys don't go out. I hope more guys like stay in and just jack off. I hope they stay in more, and I hope they have AI waifus and they fall in love with those AI waifus, and they're happy and they're good with it and they're content with that, because that's more for me. That's more for the people that are actually willing to go out there and you want to improve the quality of women out there. Keep doing what you're doing, because the girls who aren't worth shit will dry up, and the girls who are will get picked up by guys who go out and fucking make an effort. If you're just going to sit in there and just say, you know what, I'm done, I give up, good, please do, because that keeps you out of the club, that keeps you out of society, that keeps you out of what you want to know. You want to know, like, I love it when people say, well, why are these guys dropping out of society? Well, it must be video games, must be porn, it must be marijuana, it must be smoking weed, the devil's lettuce. It must be X, Y, and Z. It's all sedation. It's the first thing I teach you in Reignite is to identify your sedation and get over it. Because I can't teach you jack shit, and Mike can't teach you jack shit unless you can overcome your sedation. And usually it's like immersive video games. It's could be porn. It could be fucking prescription opiates. I don't know. It could be anything, whatever. It could be your mindset. Like, sedation doesn't have to be a chemical. It doesn't have to be dopamine. It could be just your fucked up way of thinking. I've said in the past is like, I think that a lot of MGTOWs and Black Pill Doomers are like about what 500 milligrams of testosterone away from being a completely red pill. Yeah. Like, you go and you get TRT, or you go and fucking start doing gear or something like that. You'll definitely change your mind about a great many things, because it will put you in a different frame of mind, put you in a different state of mind. Your personality isn't static, my friend. I'm a Black Pill Doomer, I'll never change. Shoot him up with some trend. Fuck yeah, let's go to the clubs. Show me the next hot chick.
Self-confidence issue.
Yeah. It's chemical, man. How do I know? Well, we already know that we live in a state where, what is it? We have phytoestrogens everywhere, right? And we have the lowest testosterone count of any generation before us. We're having like Gen X, or not Gen Z has the least amount of sex of any of the prior 4 generations, or 3 generations before it, probably 4. And they're not interested in alcohol. They're not in. They're like Ryan Stone just put this out there. He put this article out, and it was Generation Z is the least drinking, least alcoholic. I'm like, yeah, because drinking is social. That's what he's saying. He's like, yeah, because you would have to go out to a bar or something like that, or you'd have to go. So you have to leave the house to get the booze, right? Because they don't drink because they're not social. They don't go outside. Right? They don't touch grass.
Because I feel like a lot of people always see social media, but they never see the Twitter.
Well, marriage causes divorce. Can you write a book on Reignite? Funny you should say so. Funny you should ask that. I am actually about halfway through my 6th book, which is titled Reignite. Yes, I can and am, and it's in the works and should be very soon. I've been writing my ass off for Reignite, because I want it to be something that sort of references something to reference when for the program itself. But you know me. It's turned into a book in its own right. And so now I'm sort of like deep in the weeds in my 6th book, which is going to be titled Reignite. So you caught me. How these betas got zeroed out and how they made a comeback. Are there any alphas on Reignite? Jim Kilgore definitely qualifies as an alpha, part of the Reignite program. Jim's been on this show several times. Jim Kilgore is most definitely, I'm pretty confident in calling Jim an alpha, and he was married. He got zeroed out in a bad divorce. I would not have called him alpha back then. I would most definitely say he is alpha.
It's a silver fox.
Silver fox. Dude, that guy fucks.
Yeah.
That dude
Jim Kilgore, he
fucks. Oh my God. Yeah. And is a year older than me, a year younger than me.
Yeah, I think older.
About a year older than I am. He's a pilot too, so you gotta give him that. I remember. Okay, put it this way. I'm just gonna tell you. I don't want to rat him out. So in May of last year, I went to Miami for the White Party, which is like the premier event for babes in Toyland. And he is there, and it is hot as fuck, man. It is like 80, almost 90 degrees at night. And it is humid. Like we're just sweating. He is there in a 3-piece white suit. I'm like, how are you not passing out, man? And that dude, I'll stop right there. That dude pulls more tail than any guy I know. I mean, he is like Justin Waller at his age, is at Justin Waller levels of being able to pull pussy. And he was showing me like video and pictures of what he was doing that day.
Yep.
He rented a yacht and just pulled like random like 7 girls onto the yacht with him and a few of his boys. And his 2 sons were with him, and he had their friends were on there with him too. They just met the girls on South Beach and brought them on the plane. And went out on the fucking bay.
Yacht diff.
Like, oh my God. Yeah. It was amazing. So yes, there are most definitely alphas in Reignite. Who am I talking about? I'm talking about Jim Kilgore. James Kilgore. Look him up on Instagram. You'll find him. You cannot miss Jim Kilgore on Instagram. Yeah, dude he should be fucking James Bond, man.
He can do it. American.
Yeah, he is. I have a few other guys in the program that are, I wouldn't put them in the alpha class yet, but they are most definitely made great progress. I got one guy, Harold, who was just, I mean, when he came, he used to be part of my Patreon, and now he's part of Reignite, and he has made so much progress. It's like, if I have like one student that I'm the most proud of, it's definitely Harold. So, yep. I don't know if I'm He's not glazing. I give him a break. He just wants to know. It's okay. Yes, I am writing a book. You can see I've got the link to Reignite in the description there. He's not like you're shilling for it. Yeah, I guess you are. All right, what time is it? Okay, we got 8 minutes before I got to get out of here, because the reason I got to get out of here before the 3-hour mark is because Mike Sartain and Logan Duong are coming in to do an interview right here on this table. But if you don't know who Logan is, he's a really good friend of the show. He's been a good friend of mine for a while. Actually came to my gig at the thing from San Diego too, by the way. Is Reignite perfect for blue pill alphas? Yes, it is. Am I a shill? Yes, you are. That's okay though. So anyways, last but not least, I wanted to just dive in really quickly here into the concept of chivalry and chivalry being dead. Now, I kind of locked horns with this chick who apparently Aaron Clary knows, but I do not know who she is. But again, you probably have heard the mantra of women talking about, we need to teach men chivalry, and it's like, you don't even know what fucking chivalry is. And I wanted to sort of boil this down really quick. 21st century chivalry is an anachronism for like medieval chivalry. Yes, if you ever want to know what chivalry is all about, like the real history of chivalry, get my 4th book, which is Religion. There's an entire chapter written about chivalry and the misunderstandings about it, historical misunderstandings about it. Like chivalry came from the chivalric code during the Middle Ages, which was instituted by the Holy Roman Church or Holy Roman Empire, right? The Catholic Church. Because so many guys were killing so many other guys in like unfair fights that there had to be like sort of rules of engagement. And so that was called the chivalric code. And that was a sense of sort of masculine honor and masculine duty. There was nothing in the original chivalric code that had anything to do with bitches. If anything, rape more bitches. That's what it was.
Just fight for honor, rape for bitches.
Just take the bitches home. That's more or less what it was. Like you keep what you kill. But then what happened is right around the early Renaissance, maybe the end of the medieval period into the early and then again into the high Renaissance, but mostly around the early medieval or late medieval to early Renaissance period is when there was what was known as courtly love. And so you have all of these noble women who are sort of bored out of their fucking skulls, but they have to take care of the castle, right? For lack of a better term, they had to take care of the kingdom while their husbands were off on campaign. All right. While they're off on campaign, the more flirtatious ones would be entertained by traveling troubadours, which were dancers and actors, and they got into the habit of playing games. When it came to, of course, and by playing games, I mean like fucking these guys, right? Having affairs with them. But it was all about love, and love was held to the highest esteem. Love is the greatest thing in the world, right? And this is where it's the reason why I put this in religion is because love, even to this day, the emotion of love is held in higher regard than God is today. So the actual title of the chapter is Love is God, not God is, it's a play on words, right? It's not God is love, it's love is God, meaning that love makes God worthwhile. Love makes marriage, not God, worthwhile. And so when like God has the concept of the creator of the universe, right, takes the back seat, takes shotgun to the concept and the emotion of love. And that all began in the courts of the noble women and the rest, really what accounted for the aristocracy while their husbands were away on campaign, right? And so what happened then is it started to filter into the men folk. And then that's where you have to defend milady's honor. I forget what the Ridley Scott movie was that was recently. It was not The Duelist, but it was recently. It was like a medieval like fighting movie kind of thing. But really the whole premise of the, what was it called?
It was like a love story.
Yeah, it was the whole
medieval something.
Medieval something. Yeah, it was the whole premise of the movie is based on courtly love, and that's where the word courtly love comes from. It's what's known as the romantic ideal. The romantic ideal is that love trumps everything else.
The Last Duel.
The Last Duel. That's what it's called. I think it was a duel something. The Last Duel. It's based primarily on the concept of really what amounts to feminism 1.0. It means you do everything for love, and by that you do everything for a girl, for a woman, right? You want to know some simps, some of the worst simps in the world, medieval times, right? It was what does Tristan call it? An unequal exchange of value. Yep. There was nothing more unequal than dying for milady's favor. There's no guarantee you were going to get laid, right?
It was all honor and glory.
Honor and glory, man. And if you besmirched milady's honor, then you were honor bound to kill that motherfucker. And that was so it was added to the chivalric code. But now it's courtly love that influenced the chivalric code. You want to talk about, like, I love this, right? Male spaces. We talk about, these poor guys, they're worried about women coming in and playing video games or Warhammer or anime or something. No, that's not what it's about. The chivalric code being infiltrated or polluted with female influence. That was a male space. The chivalric code was a male space. What did women do? They inserted their interests into that male space, and now it becomes part of that male space. In fact, it becomes intrinsic to that male space. So you got that going right there. Now you got to look at courtly love. Courtly love was about, courtly love was about doing these acts of service, not unlike love languages, right? They would come up with these really twisted ass games, like where they would have like one of the troubadours. They have one of they would have suitors for milady's favor they would essentially cut their wrists and see who could bleed out the most before either they died or the most blood that was let as a result of showing their devotion and their servitude to that woman. Right? I'm going to bleed more than him. And no, you're going to die. You're going to bleed out is what you're going to do. So you're going to die for love. And that was like becoming a martyr for love, right? They twisted as fucking games, right? That was part of courtly love. So when people start saying, well, especially today, when they go, well, you know what, the problem with marriage today, or the problem with these young kids is they don't court anymore. You know where the word court comes from? It comes from courtly love. And we're courting. It's not the fucking 12th century anymore, dumb fuck. This is 2025, not 1405. Okay, you're no longer in the high court of the fucking Renaissance England or some shit like that. Or your Renaissance Europe. You're not there anymore. You're not in Italy, the Medici family. Okay, it's no more fucking courtly love. There's no more courting. There's fucking. There's Hinge, Tinder, and Bumble. Okay. Again, these guys are basically checking out of the sexual marketplace anyways. It's not about courting. I mean, this is the right way to do it. No, it's not. No, we're reimagining everything. Like all fucking bets are off. Since 2000, since the internet, all bets are fucking off. You're trying to solve 20th century or 21st century problems with 20th century solutions. Think of something new. Get some new fucking material. Start thinking in different ways. Think outside of the fucking box. Oh, well, we've got to go back. Like most of these guys are trying, I should say that. They're actually trying to find 21st century solutions with 18th and 19th century, solutions. So the thing about the one thing that you will never hear now, if you ever hear like women talking about how we need to have chivalry or how men need to be taught chivalry, I guess men need to be more respectful for women. Or men need to X, Y, and Z, right? The world would be a better place if men were better, women would be better. No, they wouldn't. The sexual revolution taught us what we really are. And you know what? The social media, the internet, mass media, mass communication, social media, whatever, just made it unignorable. We started figuring out what we were all about after the sexual revolution. Guess what? Now we see it 24/7. Let's go on Instagram right now. We can see it right now. Let's go see what the next chick's butt cheeks look like. That's what we are. That's what we're about. Okay? So, but the thing is this, is like going back to this idealized, which romanticized, I should say, ideal of whatever chivalry means to modern 21st century women. It's really them wanting to have more control. They want men to be more obedient. They want men to prioritize women's problems first. And that's where we get into you want to know why things are fucked? It's because of that. It's because men do not prioritize their own needs before women. That's why. If men prioritize their own needs before women, you would see women would flock to them. They would love them. We were just talking about how come women start coming after you when you just like start to ignore? Well, because the presumption is anyways, that you're focusing on you. The things you do for your own betterment are for you, not so you being better for her. That's my biggest problem with trad cons today. We need better men. We need men to man up and get into the gym and make more money. We need to get them out of the house. We need them to stop playing video games. You can't play video games until your wife is fucking completely happy with you, right? Because if mama ain't happy, it means God's not happy with you too. So on top of that, the problem that I have with this is we can go back to the authority thing. Like, with their men don't have the authority to be responsible to affect the responsibility that we think is going to like solve the world's problems, right? That's pretty much a given. I could talk about that all day. But the thing is chivalry requires abeyance to a patriarchal social order. So if you want chivalry, ladies, give up your rights. If you want chivalry, you want guys to be better, you want to go back to this, 14th century, 13th, 14th century chivalric ideal that you have romanticized in the first place, guess what that requires? Patriarchy. That's what it requires. None of this equality, none of this, we're going to be 50-50 in our marriage. No. You want a man to be respectful, and you want him to be chivalrous, and you want him to open the door. Like, Chivalry is a lot more than opening fucking doors for women. Okay. I just want to point that out. If you want him to prioritize your needs, if you want him to be responsible for you, because that's what chivalry is, defending milady. You want your knight in shining armor to defend milady's honor. Guess what that requires? You follow him. You obey him. You have to submit to him. You have to submit to a patriarchal order. If you want chivalry, chivalry was founded and based on male supremacy, male, control, male organizing of society, a hierarchical male organizing of society. If you don't want that, stop bitching about chivalry. Stop it. There is no chivalry without patriarchy. So if you want that, if you want the good old Southern gentleman to come and open your door for you, like it's fucking Gone with the Wind, guess what that requires? That requires you to have respect for that guy in the first place. Because anybody can open your fucking door. Hell, the help can open the door. The doorman can open the door. Hell, I would drive you up to MGM and the valet will open your door for you. Is he being chivalrous? No. Do you have any respect for the valet? Or do you have more respect for the guy who drove you up there in a fucking Lambo? Chivalry, in any sense, requires patriarchy. It requires that guy is above you. Women cannot look up to a man who is her equal. So that's what chivalry requires. So if you're going to say we need to teach chivalry, you're saying we need to teach patriarchy is what you're saying. And according to the last I looked, it was supposed to be toxic masculinity. So if that's toxic, then stop bitching about chivalry because it's not what you think it is. You've romanticized this idea of chivalry. Okay, let's get these. If God was real, he would have shown himself. Okay, thanks. But he does. In me. Wait, boom, boom. How to do Johnny Bravo. Here's proof that God exists. Sandwich. Nothing. Damn it. See, now I pulled a muscle. God damn it. All right, sandwich. Thank you for both of those. All right, fellas, it's time to leave. Anything else? I think that's it. All right, guys. That's it for now. I will be back. We'll be back. Oh, we're going to be doing Access Vegas. That'll be Thursday. Much better. Okay, now I'm good. So we'll be doing Access Vegas on Thursday. That is same time. I don't know if we're going to talk about what I got into today, but maybe we will. Did I get to everything? I think I did get to. Holy shit, I got to everything, Kyle. Wow. Filipina Pea, please call me. I'm good for you. Jedediah Bila, I'll be on, but that'll be March 26th. April. Okay, so I didn't. Here's what I got. Here's what I missed. April 2nd is my birthday. Did you know that? Ooh, yes. That'll be a Wednesday, and we're gonna do an Access Vegas on that Wednesday. So it's gonna be my birthday show. And I think Mike is trying to arrange the girls to come in some sort of theme for me too. So I can't say what it's going to be, but like when Mike gets his birthday thing going on at like Hakkasan, he thinks the girls dress up as like cheerleaders or some shit. Like, I don't know, but there's been some discussion of that.
It's going to be Warhammer 40K.
God, wouldn't that be great? They all come in as Sisters of Battle. How awesome would that fucking be? So the next thing after that, a bikini show. God, I wish we would get banned so quick if we did that. Oh my God. Yeah. April 2nd is my birthday. Thank you. Yes. Kramer guitars are a good present. But we're going to do Access Vegas on the 2nd, on the 3rd. And the reason why we're pushing it up to that Wednesday is because on the 3rd is Babes in Toyland here in Las Vegas. And it's the Western, like cowboy version of it. It's going to be at Jason Aldean's Kitchen and Grill. Have you ever been?
No.
Why would you be there? Why would I be there? Do I look like the kind of guy that goes to Jason Aldean's? So that's going to be on the 3rd. I will probably bring Melissa. I'll bring my wife to that. And then the 4th, we had something else that was going on. I can't remember what, but Anyways, so if you're wondering why we're going to do it on my birthday, actually, that's why we're doing it on that day. And then we have Access Vegas on this coming, what is it, the 21st or the 20th? So the 20th, which is this Thursday, we will do Access Vegas here. And that is that, my friends. I will see you guys soon. Again, I'll be back here, of course, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern on this show. And please show your support. Everything is appreciated here. All super chats are appreciated. And tell your friends because I'm still blacklisted. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.
I need to feel you on top of me. It was my first time. All right. But I was just a kid when we met and went to bed. It was my first time. What do you expect from me? I'm breaking up the rules now and again.
Goddamn right.
I've got some new tools. Please do the same. Time came by when over like a matchbox stereo. Time to get my thoughts now, let go. Bound to keep me up. Ain't nobody got time for that.
Goddamn right.
And maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. Won't you put it on me one more again? I need to know if maybe we can fuck again. Then maybe things are different. Goddamn, baby, one more again. You could have the best of my life.
Guilty!
Now we're fucking in the bathroom, tearing up everywhere while I got your hair. Why you screaming my name?
That's nasty. It is nasty, right? Isn't it nasty? Ugh.
She was swinging in the bedroom, whole time stopping and stuffing with her head. Like she's Claudia Kelly.
Well, I'm a whore.
Ride me up and down like a pony. Turning up my song, getting nasty. Working up and down on your body. Ride me
Massage.
up and down like a pony. Turning up my song on your body. Baby, we'll get down to it all night. But maybe we can fuck again. And maybe things are different.
Bye, Felicia.
Sitting Podcast has been a production of the Rational Mail. All rights reserved. 2025 registered trademark. And don't steal Kyle stuff.
Hello there, children. How's it going? Tell that bitch to be cool. Say, bitch, be cool. Be cool, honey. Say, bitch.